The AFL Premiership Season 2003, brought to you by Carlton, brewed since 1864, and our telecast sponsors Carlton Draft. Draft beer at its best. Ford New Falcon, can't get enough of this. Discount City Carpet Superstores. Truscott Hi-Fi, best advice, low price. Booze Brothers. Sky City Adelaide, the place to see footy on the big screen. RAA Insurance. And Telstra.
It's now or never for the Tigers. 5 straight losses have seen the boys from Punt Road fall from 3rd to 10th and in real danger of losing touch with the top 8. Their task not getting any easier. The Crows building steadily. They've jumped up into the race for the double chance, courtesy of 4 wins from their last 5 games. The Tigers are desperate. The Crows are confident. It's Adelaide and Richmond on Saturday Night Football. And here are the Tigers sitting in 10th position. 6 wins and 7 losses. Won 6 of their first 8 games to be sitting in 3rd after round 8, but lost their last 5 games and now find themselves a full game and percentage outside the top 8. Huge game for them tonight. Wayne Campbell, the skipper, back in the side. He'll lead the boys out. And Richmond need to turn their season around tonight, Chris McDermott, but as I welcome you to the broadcast, no easy task facing Adelaide at home.
No, they don't travel well. Real test of character tonight for them. Their leadership group of Campbell, Richardson really need to stand up and make an impression tonight. They've got to start well against this team, who are very near full strength.
Adelaide Crows sitting in 4th spot, 8 wins and 5 losses. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. They find themselves a game and a half behind West Coast and Brisbane at the top of the ladder. Equal with Sydney and Fremantle, so a vital game for them as well. They can't afford to be dropping games like this one if they want to finish in that top 4.
Absolutely. I mean, their season is right on the edge as well if they want to finish in the top 4, but very impressive last week with Wayne Carey and that man Andrew McLeod running into some very nice form.
Starting to build ominously towards September, the Adelaide Crows, as we take a look at their lineup. The one change, as you can see, Matthew Bode returns after missing 3 games with a knee injury.
And a great inclusion too. Best on ground last week in the local competition here. Adds to their on ball, adds to the firepower up forward. That's a strong looking team.
50 games to Ian Perry, great achievement for him in his 6th season, just 12 games in his first 3 years, so he's persisted and come good.
Yeah, having a great season. He and Wayne Carey working very well together. That's a potent forward line in anybody's language.
And still names to come back as we take a look at the Tigers. One change, as we've mentioned, it's a big one. Wayne Campbell back into the side, injured the calf in round 6, and again early in round 9, hasn't played since. The Tigers haven't won since.
No, critical to have the captain back in the team for his leadership, and he does get 25-30 possessions in the midfield, something that's really let them down over the last couple of weeks.
There is the skipper, Wayne Campbell. Aaron Fiora has made way for him to return this evening. There's Kane Johnson. Few nerves for him up against his old side for the first time.
No question. Expect Tyson Stengline to get the job on Kane Johnson. He's critical with Campbell in the midfield if they're going to get some footy in Richmond are going to win the game.
Now, we've had a look at some of the numbers here, Chris, and we can't identify one particular area where Richmond have fallen away in the last 5 weeks. If you look at their goals, they're kicking 3 goals less a game and conceding 4 goals more, so they're struggling at both ends.
Well, they're just finding it tough to get their hands on the footy, aren't they? I mean, their good players aren't getting enough of the ball, and that man last week, he got plenty of it and brought lots of players into the game. They loved his game last week. Very happy with the way he's moving into the second half of the season.
We spoke about getting hands on the football. The numbers back that up. Richmond in round 8 were 9th in the competition for possession. Since then, they've dropped to 15th. And in contested possessions, they've gone from 6th to 13th. So they just have not been winning enough contests, particularly in the middle of the ground. Wayne Campbell will help resurrect that tonight.
Yeah, Kane Johnson, the other one. I mean, I know they're happy with him, but he can certainly step up and do a lot better.
Some champions on display for both sides. Some big names, some mercurial talent. Some nerves there for Kane Johnson, as we mentioned. Leon Cameron, well, accurate this year. He's kicked 12 goals won to this stage this season, and they do look a better side when players such as Cameron, Tivendale and Bowden can get forward of the football and kick goals.
Yeah, certainly, but consistency is Richmond's real problem. They need them to stand up week in, week out, not just do it for 1 week, and 4 or 5 losses in a row is not good.
Wayne Carey, well, he's kicked a minimum of 2 goals in every game he's played against Richmond in the last 10 years, so he likes playing against the Tigers. very consistent against them.
It's funny how you have your favourite teams to play against. The Crows very happy with the way he moved last week, just coming into some nice form in the second part of the year. A lot of talk about him being the enforcer of the team now, standing up for Andrew McLeod, who got some strong arm tactics last week. But Wayne Carey just needs to play footy, a very important player.
Plenty of talk this week about Matthew Richardson. As there is 52 weeks of the year, there's always something going on with Richo. This week it's been suggested he should spend some more time up the ground, something he does a lot of anyway out at centre-half forward.
Maybe the suggestion is he needs to play a bit more like a Hurd, a Rewalt, a Pavlik, where he can move into the midfield and just see what the game is like from that end of the ground and that part of the ground. He does show his frustration, which he needs to curtail, but look, if he can kick 5 or 6 tonight, Richmond are a chance.
He does have a pretty good record against the Crows as well. Kicked 32 goals in 10 games against them. As we look at Andrew McLeod, well, he loves playing against the Tigers. He's polled Brownlow votes in their last 3 clashes.
Yeah, certainly loves playing against the Tigers, loves playing here at Footy Park. Was incredible last week, considering he'd only had knee surgery 7 days before. Great in the first half, and I just don't see the likely match-up for Andrew McLeod tonight. As normal, he can be a match winner.
Well, he's a Rolls-Royce with a turbo boost, isn't he? He's just got that ability to jetpack clear of the rest of the pack.
But they manhandled him last week, and he didn't really like it. Interesting to see if there's similar tactics tonight.
Brad Otten's 3rd game back after back surgery cost him the first half of his season, and he is definitely getting better by the week.
Oh, no doubt about that. Just needs to play some games. Otten's, Richardson, Stafford. If Richmond can get those 3 players in their forward line, they are a threat.
Well, it's a huge game for both sides. The Crows looking at the top 4, Richmond at the top 8. Gary Ayres' 200th game in the coach's box. It's the Adelaide Crows.
Is robbed. The bank manager is missing. So how do you prove it was murder if you can't find the stiff?
So where is he then?
9:30 Monday. Everyone had a reason to kill him, but this is murder with a twist.
He left his wife $3 million, but it's all gone.
An all-new case to keep you guessing.
He was old enough to be my father.
And the more they dig, the weirder this one gets.
This bank was due to close next week.
All new White Collar Blue. 9:30 Monday. Double hopped Carlton Sterling. It's the beer lover's light.
Follow these signs at Truscott Hi-Fi and you'll save up to 40% on TVs, hi-fi components, speakers, hi-fi systems, DVD players, VCRs and cabinets. Up to 40% off. Truscott Hi-Fi City. Open Sunday 11 till 5.
Tired of pizzas with hard and edible crusts? Right now, with every stuffed crust order, we'll give you a box of cinnamon fingers absolutely free. A box of cinnamon fingers? Sweet stuff.
Your one-stop flooring shop, Discount City Carpet's huge stock take sale is on now, with massive price reductions on timber flooring, ceramic tiles, vinyls, rugs and thousands of metres of carpet, clearing at genuine savings. Some stock well below cost. This has to be Discount City Carpet's biggest stock take sale yet. And remember, no matter what price you get elsewhere, Discount City Carpets will beat it, guaranteed. Discount City Carpets. Superstores and Super Warehouse, your one-stop flooring shop, guaranteeing the lowest prices.
Consecutive games to Andrew Callaway, a streak that started back in round 6, 1999. There's the 2 teams in their huddles. It's the Adelaide Crows and Richmond, enormous crowd in at Amy Stadium, almost a packed house. Should be a cracking game, this one. Tigers desperate for a win as I welcome our co-caller this evening. Good evening, Mark Aston.
Chase, full house as you said. Crows in form, Richmond with plenty to prove. It's all go. Looking forward to it.
Let's head boundary side, Tiffany Cherry and Troy Gray.
It's been beautiful weather in Adelaide. We reached a top of 18 degrees, dropped a few degrees since then, but the conditions at ground level are sensational. A slight breeze should really suit the Adelaide Crows' running style of play. So full-strength Adelaide line-up with the exception of Simon Goodwin.
almost a full-strength side, of course, for the Tigers. A big return is that of skipper Wayne Campbell. He's desperate to arrest their 5-game losing streak. Can't see too many Richmond supporters in the crowd at the moment, so it's going to be pretty tough for former Crow Kane Johnson, who I can tell you looked very good in the warm-up.
Wayne Carey just getting better by the week. 11 possessions last week. Doesn't sound a lot on paper, but just has such an influence over the game. And Chris, as you mentioned, just providing a physical presence for Adelaide, and something that's vital for the likes of John Cock, McLeod, some of the smaller players. Just brings them into the game beautifully.
Oh, look, he certainly does. He was tremendous last week. Benny Holland with a big job on him tonight, considering he hasn't had a lot of footy. But the Crows have got so many options up forward. Wayne Carey is just a beautiful part of that forward package.
Can this be the turning point for Richmond's season? They've lost their last 5 games. They come to Amy Stadium and take on the Crows. It's round 14 action. Saturday night football in Adelaide. Stafford in the ruck, gets the tap. Coughlin. Roden. Ricochets off his own man, Kane Johnson. Umpire comes in for a bounce. Shirley's got the job on Johnson early. Stafford to Roden, good tap. Roden goes inside 50 for the first time this evening. It's punched away from Edwards. Gathered by Bassett. Handball to Smart. To Edwards. Had some heat on it to Burton. He's taken down by Roden. Turnover. Comes to Cracker. He'll attack the goal square for the Tigers. Ottens works his way to the front. Bassett. Little chip kick didn't go the required distance to Edwards. Put him under pressure. Cracker from the boundary line. Cracker almost. It's still alive for Richardson. Wheels around. Chips in short. Misses the target to Cameron. Opportunity goes begging. Newman to Rogers. The Tigers working overtime. Cameron run down by Bickley. Had plenty of the football. And it's a free kick to the Crows.
Just paid a throw there. The Richmond player was going to ground. Tried the quick handball. Umpire called it a throw.
Well, multiple opportunities. What looked to be certain goals for Richmond go begging. And the Crows dodge a bullet. Rashudo to Edwards. To Bassett. Works it back to Edwards. Thought about the little give to Biglands. Goes further afield. And too wide. Out of bounds on the full. Richmond get it back. Danny Frawley opens his first bottle of water for the night. Probably won't be the last. Tivendale under pressure from Perry. To Chaffee. Pushes wide. Puts it straight onto the chest of Wayne Carey. Crows have got numbers forward to the ball. And one of them is Hart. So Ben Hart, the veteran, and it's 50 against Joel Bowden. Creeping over the mark. And suddenly, Ben Hart finds himself in kicking range. Hasn't scored this season for the Adelaide Crows. Just 42 goals in 262 games of football.
And when you're talking about leadership, you can't afford to make a mistake like that early in a game of footy. That just kills you. Richmond had the first scoring opportunity, turned it over. Now the Crows get a gimme, not the start Richmond are looking for.
So here's Hart. From 45 metres out, he mentioned the numbers coming in. Odds weren't in his favour, and he misses. The opening score, a minor one to Ben Hart.
Well, as you said, Jace, they do dodge a bullet at both ends. Richmond lucky to get off the hook there. They need their leadership group, and Joel Bowden is one of those. So stick to the discipline, lead by example. Plenty of time to do better.
Tivendale goes deep into the back pocket, looking for Chaffee, finds him. Opportunity for Newman. Still in the back pocket, short passing it, awkward, but they're getting out of it. Fleming got it from Campbell, and then goes into the middle. Punch to the front, chance for Carey, gets it across to Hart. Hart, beautiful kick out toward left half forward. Now John Cock, about 75 metres from goal, easy as you like. And Andrew McLeod marks outside of 50. Perry offers a lead. And McLeod sends it into the forward pocket. And that was ill-directed. And Kellaway just goes across the face. And he's got Cameron. In fact, Zantuck. And Zantuck outside of 50, but only just. That was dangerous. Burton put pressure. Tivendale out wide. Campbell, another touch. Second kick, very wide. Right on the line is Rogers. On the wing, infield to Chaffee. Gradually working it forward now, the Tigers. Adelaide in front by 1 point. Early stages, down ground. Richardson, long way from where he's generally stationed, although he does play up the ground a fair bit. Long kick, well inside 50. They need a mark and they get one. Was it Ottens? No, it was just touching the turf. They pack up over the top of him, and the umpire will bounce inside 50.
A couple of interesting matchups. Nigel Smart with a big job on Matthew Richardson, Tim Fleming on Andrew McLeod, and there is plenty happening off the footy.
There's the bounce. Bickley gathers, gets through the congestion outside of 50, past Bowden, now Smart juggling, good footy. Spectacular footy by Smart over the top to John Cock. One gets the feeling something big's about to happen now. John Cock downfield. McLeod threw his hands, overran it. Welsh tried to get the hand pass away. McLeod, hand passes wide. John Cock was his target. Still with John Cock, he knocked it to the boundary line, over and out, umpire to toss in.
Vital for the Tigers to get a good start. Krisha mentioned their record on the road. They've lost their last 10 by an average of 8 goals, so they haven't travelled well. They need to get a good start and some belief and excitement in this game.
Sure do, especially here at Amy Stadium. Nothing more important than a quick start by the opposition.
Bickley straight onto the chest of Campbell, having influence. His 4th touch. He finds Rogers. Started his career with South Adelaide. Goes up the middle. It was a nothing kick. Picked off by Bassett. Handball to open space. Accommodates Carey. Carey can chip over the top to the run of Hart. Can have another go. Charging out is Callaway. Diffuses the situation for Richmond. Dishes to Rogers. Goes looking for Roden. Clears that contest. Richardson thumps it high inside 50. McGregor got an awkward bounce. Favoured Stafford. Stood up in the tackle. Handball to Cameron. High ball. Cracker. Edwards. Edwards in front. Worked his way to the front of the contest and took it on the chest. Switches play to the outer side. Finds Burton. With 63 possessions in the last 2 weeks, Brett Burton reinventing himself as a wingman. Goes to the wing and finds Bassett. Handball to Edwards. He goes straight up the middle. Welsh comes out on a searching lead and takes the mark 65 metres from goal. Scott Welsh. Inside 50 was a beautiful kick. It was a good lead too. And Graham Johncock, who started his career in a back pocket, Chris, kicked 5 last week against the Blues, and yet another flexible forward option in much the same vein that Port Adelaide have Wanganeen and Pickett and the Burgoynes.
No question, Graham Johncock been able to push forward on numerous occasions over the last year or two. Does kick beautifully for goal, a very accurate kick for goal, and just providing that small forward, he marks the ball well and has got very good goal sense.
Career total of 25 goals, 16 in his 38 games. Graham Johncock, 11-8 for the season. Trots to 45, kick on its way, it's just fading left and misses. So 2 behinds to the Crows. Richmond yet to score.
Got to be worrying signs for Richmond. The Crows back half often running. Tyson Edwards with 6 touches, Nathan Bassett with 5 from the back half, away and running, and that is dangerous signs for Richmond.
Tivendale, precise low trajectory kick to Holland, wants to move it on quickly, and that's the reason why. Spotted Rogers in space. Tries to accelerate away from Biglands. Goes into the centre of the ground. Otten's spoiled. Bassett at ground level. Burton over the top of it. Otten's piles in. Bassett in on him. Umpire said free kick. In the back to Brad Otten's. Handball to the run of Tivendale. Raking left boot inside 50 is a beauty. Richardson spilt it. The hard work was done. He'd got there. He'd beaten Smart to the ball. It bounced off the chest. Roden in there scrapping at ground level. Prosciutto clever, flipped it over the top for Smart, and again, the Crows out of trouble. Burton has got men forward of the football. One of them's Biglands, and he marks at the back edge of the square. Could go long. Massey's run hard to create an option. Rogers arrives late, brings it to ground, got the front position. They pile in on top of it. Campbell in there working hard. Hart is in there for the Crows, and already Danny Frawley looking frustrated as well. He might. A couple of promising forward opportunities go begging.
Yes, and Richardson should have taken that one. I mean, a good forward takes those sort of marks. Nigel Smart is pushing him wide, but Richardson's still getting some opportunities.
From the restart, Coghlan. Handball, releases Johnson into open space, gets the hoots of the crowd. Goes to half forward, Richardson and Smart. Smart just sweating on him, waiting for him to take possession. It's spilt to Bassett. Works the 1-2 with Edwards. Kicks wide, Prosciutto there, Laddams too. boundary line wins.
I mean, the matchup smart against Richardson is absolutely great for Gary Ayres because Nigel will run off and stretch Richardson aerobically, and also, as we've seen early in this game, only 10 minutes in, most of Matthew Richardson's balls have been wide. So good work by Nigel Smart.
Yeah, Bigland's got his hand to it through Shirley's legs. And Johnson on his back, and Rogers over the top of them. And there'll be a bounce. Kane Johnson came over yesterday with Holland and Ottens. The rest of the team arrived around about lunchtime this afternoon. Grabbed by Johnson. Quickly kicking it downfield. Richardson storming up the ground. Bassett and Smart about to negotiate their way out of trouble. Out of defence, and Smart from a standing start gets good distance. John Cock at the back, but in front Coughlin takes a strong grab for the Tigers. Changes direction, goes into the middle, so they're about to storm their way forward. And this is Tivendale, goes for a bounce. Spectacular run by Tivendale, well inside 50. Oh, good mark at the back, just judging it nicely, Tyson Edwards. The target down there was Stafford, but it was way over his head, and Edwards goes out wide to the far side. Burton, what a game he played last week. 34 kicks. Perry, who's had a very good season. Holland over the football, knocking it forward, but only as far as the Crows are concerned. John Cock gets a free kick. Adelaide 2, Richmond yet to score. John Cock prodding it to Carey, marks easily. Bowden just putting pressure on him. But Carey will kick from about 65. Here's another look at it from the reverse angle. And Carey's found a target. And it's Burton who's run all the way down.
In great form, Brett Burton, 30-odd touches last week, and again starting very well this evening.
Doesn't Wayne Carey look comfortable and confident within himself, just moving beautifully at the moment?
Yeah, certainly. Had real leg troubles this year and just struggled to get on the track. Certainly moving a lot freer tonight, as is Brett Burton, who again's had some ankle troubles, missed a lot of footy this year, comes into the second half of the season very fresh, aerobically always very fit and sound, and a dangerous player, very hard to match up on.
Loves taking a big mark too, doesn't he? Here we go, we'll ride it with him. His kick is on its way, it is straight through the middle. Just the start Adelaide needed.
Goal to Brett Burton. Bassett and Edwards have 8 touches for the Crows. Campbell, Rogers, Tivendale 4 apiece for the Tigers. Otten's the tap through the hands of Coughlin. Bickley sweats on it, couldn't quite gather. They pile in for a secondary bounce as Matthew Bode awaits his opportunity. He missed the last 3 games with a knee injury. You can see it strapped there. Inside 50, 6-4. In favour of the Tigers, but just wasting their opportunities at the moment. Here's a chance for the Crows to go forward again. Biglands, ruck infringement, free kick, inside 50. Going back with Stenglein. The pressure came from Zantuck. It's spilt to Welsh from a tight angle. Misses to the near side. So the Crows go to 1-3 from 5 inside 50. So 5 entries for 4 scores. At the other end, Richmond have gone inside 6 times, haven't scored.
Problem with Richmond's entries, I guess, at this stage is they have gone wide. Matthew Richardson, as we've already said, been pushed out wide. With the tall timber they've got to work the ball back up the midfield, get through the corridor. That's where they're going to kick their goals from.
Tivendale covers so much ground at both ends for the Tigers. Goes short to Campbell for his 5th touch. He in turn goes to Chappie. He marks defensive 40 for Richmond. Trying to create some space up the ground. That's what he's got in front of him. They're drifting over to the outer wing, which creates space on the other side of the ground. He finds Andrew Callaway. Zantuck calling for it. Houlihan offers a lead short. You can just see him crossing the 50 there. That option's now dried up, so he thinks about switching play. So the old double switcheroony comes back to Tivendale, and eventually they can work it down the outer side and find Holland. Patient football from Richmond. Holland wants to go inboard. He's got a man in space. It's Newman. He marks this backward of the wing.
What you see is a real contrast in styles. Richmond very much stop-start, kick and mark. The Crows running hard from behind their traditional game. Two vastly different styles of footy. Which will win this evening? Time will tell.
Tigers intent on not turning it over and getting punished on the counter-attack as Houlihan goes forward. Good effort from Johnson. Made to earn it by Shirley. He's got it 60 from home. Wheels around onto the right boot. Attacks the goal square. Ottens from behind. Got one hand but never a chance to mark. Stafford at ground level. Flipped it to Ottens. He has to go to ground and gather again. Ball up 20 metres out from the Richmond goal.
Kick was certainly right from Kane Johnson, though. Hit it to the hot spot. Richardson and Ottens in the right spot to mark. And again, just couldn't quite get control of the footy.
Biglinson gets the tap. Roden the snap. Out of bounds on the full. It's Biglinson and Ottens that contested that ruck contest. Switch play to the outer side. McGregor. Will have a bounce. Runs to defensive 50. Thumps it long around the wing. Oh, Bassett did well. He's had the size advantage over Houlihan and exploited it. Goes looking for Welsh. Through his hands. McLeod lurking with intent at the back. Fleming, his shadow. Flips it back inside. Zantuck. Welsh had a piece of him. Bowden to Campbell. Not a lot of space to work in. Got boot to ball to keep it alive. Danger. It's Burton. He dishes to Rasciuto. Searching kick towards Carey. Holland worked off him. Went to the back. Holland to Chaffey. High up and under, floating wide. And there are 3 Adelaide players there. Burton wins the raffle and has it 75 from home.
And just goes slightly backwards to Laddams. Adelaide 9, Richmond yet to score. Laddams just forward of the wing, now gets to within about 65, 70 metres, floats the hand pass to Biglands, inside 50, the big man has a shot, round the corner goes Biglands, and Biglands has kicked a ripper.
Free kick.
It's a goal. It took a while, but it was finally official. And Adelaide at 2-3. Richmond yet to score a huge goal from Biglands.
Certainly wasn't some great work by Chris Laddams. Always chances his arm. This was off to Rhett Biglands, who, like Dean Brogan, is just building a reputation for himself. Now pretty well the Crows' #1 ruckman. Bit of confusion there as to whether it actually went through. But knowing Rhett, he'd be pretty happy with that, as any ruckman would be.
Biglands the tap. Straight down to Rasciuto. And the secondary bounce. Not sure of the confusion there. If it was a free kick, surely just be advantage, pay the goal, get on with it. Biglands the tap. Again to Rasciuto. This time he just fends off Coughlin. Wins himself some space. Handball to Massey. To Laddams. With good quick hands. Tumbles one towards the forward 50. Arriving quickly was Perry. Worked hard to get it to Johncock. Back to Perry. On the left, thumps it long. They'll contest 20 metres out from goal. Important hand in there from Bowden, brought it to ground. Bode to keep it alive. To McLeod, not a lot of space to work in. Works it back to Laddams, wants to get on the left. Squares it up to the danger zone and Chaffey juggles it. Saves the day for the Tigers. Switches play. Burton arrives late on Houlihan and gives away the free kick. Tigers need a score. They've played almost 18 minutes. They've had a reasonable amount of the play, possession 64 to 52. They need to convert that into score. Houlihan to Callaway, to Zantuck. Evades the lunging Welsh and gives it to Newman. He's away if he can gather. Looks up, kicks long, inside 50. Wide open forward line, Stafford goes to ground. At the back is Edwards. And they'll turn defence into attack through Bassett. No one on the mark, so he can play on. Trots away, has his 10th touch. Handball to Hart. High ball to centre-half forward. Chaffey underneath it, kept his eye on it, couldn't quite bring it down. Bowden, wrapped up by Johncock. And Another bounce as Clark comes on, replacing Biglands.
In the brutal way the Crows forward lines attack the player with the footy, dump him into the ground. John Cock certainly adds that toughness to their forward line, along with Welsh, really putting pressure on the opposition.
Chance for the Crows through Laddams, tumbles it inside 50. Brutal bounce for Ottens. Callaway at the back. Links up with Fleming. Back to Ottens. Fleming will run it out from the defensive goal square. Nowhere to go under pressure. Has to flip it over the top to Zantuck. Tigers under siege down back. It's Bowden. Turnover. Bode to Carey. He'll set something up. Goes inboard and finds McGregor 60 from home. To Rashuto. Can load it up. Go long to the goal square. Need a flyer. Ottens is pushed back into defence. He takes the saving mark. Goes up the middle and finds Callaway. Holland's found some space. He can flip it over the top to Rogers. Didn't quite come off. It ricocheted off Hart. Rogers will get it eventually. Salty's man Holland into trouble. And another turnover. Edwards to McGregor. To Smart. It's almost impenetrable down the back at the moment for Adelaide. Edwards turns it over. So they're getting their chances, Richmond. They just have to seize them. Newman. Need a goal to steady. Holland. Campbell. Toe poke was a good one. And found Coghlan 60 metres out. Richardson pushes back to the square. He's got 10 metres on Smart if he can get it in there quickly. Hangs a long time in the air, but there's Richardson. Just caught out of position that time, the Adelaide defence. Coghlan got the kick there in the nick of time.
Well, they're certainly going to get caught out the way they run Nigel Smart on that occasion. Pushed forward. Matthew Richardson pushed to the goal square. Had a beautiful look at the footy. And now has to kick the goal.
Pretty casual in the end, wasn't it? It was almost like there was a free kick and the play had stopped the way he took it.
It's the beauty of the man.
So Richardson to get the Tigers on the board. We've played almost 21 minutes. 20 metres out, directly in front. He goes bang and converts. Vital goal for the Tigers.
Telstra has a new easy way of getting messages on your home phone, and it's completely free. It's called Telstra Home Messages 101. It takes messages when you're away from the phone, even when you're on the phone or internet. To turn it on, just dial 101. You know, it's great doing television without having to do a gag.
Telstra Home Messages 101. It's free to turn on and free to use. Dial 101 from home to turn it on.
19th goal for Matthew Richardson. And the lead to Adelaide is 9 points. Bode crashing through. Ran into Kane Johnson. Pack develops, umpire to bounce. Secondary bounce in the middle. 2 minutes remaining until the first break, 15-6.
Again, a costly turnover by Tyson Edwards, the last goal to Matthew Richardson. Crows just getting a little bit casual in the back half. They've got to be careful that they stay focused for the whole game.
Had much of the play, haven't they, in this quarter, with just 9 points in front. The Tigers an opportunity to go forward, although Houlihan held up, and in the end, he was held up illegally. And he changes direction, he goes wide. And Newman now about 65 metres from goal. Another foray into attack for the Tigers. Long kick looking for Richardson. Got his hands to it, close to the line. Eventually it's over. Well, the umpire having a good look at it. Is it over or not? No, it's not. And there'll be a bounce right on the goal line. About a minute and a half remaining. Clark, eventually it's forced through from behind. 8 the difference, 8 points.
Once again, though, Matthew Richardson just losing Nigel Smart. Nigel Smart certainly started the game well. Last couple of minutes, he's just given Richardson some space. Certainly cannot afford to do that to a player of that quality.
Footy with Rashuto. Adelaide's skipper to himself. And then just casually from back pocket. Gains about 60 metres. Kenny McGregor, who's having a very good season. Building all the time. Off to his skipper, Rashuto, who directs it beautifully to Laddams. And now Stengline to about 50. Carey with one hand up. Opportunity now for Bowden. He's crashed into the deck there. Umpire says play on. Burton was the man who got that player down. We've got 38 seconds remaining. Kellaway on the base of the pack. That looked a little high.
But that's the way to tackle. If you're going to tackle, you tackle to hurt. And a great tackle by Brett Burton.
Stengline, goal. Well, sometimes it's just too easy. Late goal for Adelaide in the first quarter. It's 3-3 to 1-1. Adelaide in command at the moment.
And that's the goal you put down to Brett Burton. We spoke before about the way the Crows forward line tackled so hard, put pressure on their opponents. They hold the ball in the area. Tyson Stenglein pushes forward. And again, Matthew Clark, clean hand of the footy. That's where the Crows are dangerous. A set play inside their attacking 50. They would score more goals from that set play than any other team in the competition. That's why they're so dangerous.
They are number one in the competition, 4 goals from stoppages, the Crows. Richmond ranked a lowly 15th. So it is an area the Tigers will have to tighten up on this evening. Margin back out to 14 points. Staff at the tap. Another secondary bounce. Umpire said he ducked his head with Mark Rasciuto. With 14 seconds left on the clock. Look at the players around this contest. Stafford and Clark link up. Stafford the fist, and as far as Bode to Hart. Crows need a mark to half forward. Perry's in front. John Cox soccers off the ground. There's a free kick, is there? There is, and it's going Adelaide's way. It's a holding decision right on the siren as John Cox was soccering off the ground. Chaffee argues the point. Umpire says holding the man. And a chance for Adelaide with 2 goals in the last minute of the quarter to really sneak away. Here it is. Oh, well, where is it exactly? Oh, not much in that one. Graham Johncock played it for all it was worth. Wayne Campbell arguing the mark. Matthew Richardson comes onto it, which makes sense to have a taller player. Johncock will just have to kick it that bit further. So here's Johncock after the siren for quarter time. From just outside 50, he goes for the spiral. It's got plenty of distance. It's right to the line. And that's as far as it got. Goal umpire says no score. So at quarter time, it's Adelaide 3-3-21. The Tigers are 1-1-7, all single goal kickers. The home team by 14 points at the opening change.
Two girls have been brutally murdered, and one man holds the key to the truth.
You're hiding something. Cut it out.
Premiering Sunday.
At first I thought she was asleep.
The clever lawyer.
I have nothing to hide.
And the unrelenting cop.
Do we have your permission to take this interview?
This is the ultimate mind game.
I touched her.
Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman, and Monica Bellucci in the icy thriller Under Suspicion. Premieres 8:30 Sunday on 10.
Call Jim's Mowing on 131 546 and we'll not only mow your lawn, we'll also clean up your yard. Call your local Jim for more than just mowing.
Bacon and egg McMuffin? I don't know, Reg. Hash brown? I just can't decide.
Selected breakfast items are now available all day at McDonald's.
I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure, eh?
Your one-stop flooring shop, Discount City Carpets' huge stock take sale is on now, with massive price reductions on timber flooring, ceramic tiles, vinyls, rugs and thousands of metres of carpet, clearing at genuine savings, some stock well below cost. This has to be Discount City Carpets' biggest stock take sale yet. And remember, no matter what price you get elsewhere, Discount City Carpets will beat it, guaranteed. Discount City Carpets. Superstores and Super Warehouse, your one-stop flooring shop, guaranteeing the lowest prices.
Come on, mate, focus. Push it harder.
Want to keep up your energy?
No pain, no gain.
Then keep up your hydration.
Come on, Googie, keep going.
Only Powerade's unique balance of electrolytes and carbohydrates gives you that little bit extra.
Come on, Googie. 50 to go, mate.
The Australian Wallabies, powered by Powerade.
There's toasty savings in Stratco's Hot Deals catalogue. 80-litre radiant potting mix, only $9.95. 24 months interest-free terms on Stratco Outback verandas with a free tabletop gas heater. Sapco Premium Broom, just $13.95. Stratco Good Neighbour Fence screen extension, a low $43.95 each. And Coolaroo pet beds from only $29.95. There are hot deals throughout the store. Pop in now and save at Stratco.
What's you need today?
He didn't. He did not. Oh no, that's awful. Where? Ouch. All over you like a rash, aren't they? Until you phone and tell them you've had a car accident, right? Insurance. Who can you trust?
Exactly.
What?
Always look on the bright side of life.
Call Jim's Mowing on 131 546 and we'll not only mow your lawn, we'll also do your weeding. Call your local Jim for more than just mowing.
Bacon and egg McMuffin? I don't know, Reg. Hash brown? I just can't decide.
Selected breakfast items are now available all day at McDonald's.
I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure, eh?
Time at Amy Stadium. Adelaide 3-3-21. Richmond 1-1-7. All single goal kickers: Stenglein, Burton, Biglands and Richardson. Tyson Edwards with 11 touches, Bassett with 10, John Cock and Rashudo with 7, while for the Tigers, Campbell 7, Chappie and Andrew Kellaway 6 apiece. Interesting struggle in that opening term as we head boundary side. Troy Gray with Adelaide assistant coach Mark Micken.
Very important matchup. Matthew Richardson, one of their better players. You've got Nigel Smart with him.
Yeah, I think Nigel's got the athleticism and the experience to go with him, and you know, he's our best bet, and I thought he'd do all right that quarter.
You seem to play your best football when you're running hard out of the back lines and setting up play from the back half.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Early on, we probably didn't use the ball as well as we would have liked, but they were trying things, and that's what we're encouraging.
It's great to see forwards fighting hard to keep the ball inside the 50. Is that something you work on in training?
Yeah, we definitely put a premium on that, and you know, we like to have a high tackle count inside our forward 50.
Good luck, Mark. Thank you.
One other game around 14 action on this evening. Kangaroos and Collingwood at the Telstra Dome. If you don't want to know the score, look away now. So it's Adelaide by 14 points at quarter time. Interesting game of football, both sides having their chances in that opening term. But Richmond particularly frustrating inside their own forward 50. Can they improve in the second quarter? It's up for grabs. Stafford and Clark resume hostilities in the centre circle. And for the umpteenth time this evening, we have a secondary bounce.
Certainly is a game up for grabs. As you said, Richmond have just got to work on their forward entries a little better, going far too wide at the moment. Got to work on getting the ball up the corridor.
Clark and Stafford wrestle. Clark got hands on it. Burton flashed across the screen. Newman in there working hard with Perry. And a tertiary bounce. Show off. Don't know what happens if we have another one. Keep coming up with words. But it's the Crows by 14 points. Clark the tap. Bickley, handball smothered. Stafford put his body in. Ricocheted to Shirley. Steps inside Fleming. Links up with a handball to Rashudo. The raging bull from 50. Low trajectory kick. Hits Welsh on the chest at the top of the goal square.
Well, you're giving him credit. I think Mark Rashudo, in all fairness, was going to goal and the kick didn't quite hit. But Scotty Welsh doing what all good forwards should do, play in front.
From point-blank range, Welsh converts, and the Crows with a handy buffer.
All the action is at Sky City Adelaide this month with over 30 grand in cash and prizes to be won.
Richmond Footy Club. Zantuck just tightening up on Welsh, as you'd imagine. 4-3 Adelaide. The Tigers are 1-1. Bounce of the ball in the middle again. Bickley somehow got the hand pass moving, and Rashudo left puts it inside 50, wide of Carey, outstorms Perry. Carey's got it. Very good by Carey. He's about 45 metres from goal. It was an awkward kick. It's into the left forward pocket. It's out of bounds, and he's cursing himself and disappointed.
Well, the only one, another one cursing is Chris Massey. He presented himself at the top of the goal square. Wayne Carey chose to go for goal. Didn't kick it. So he misses out on both reasons. But the Crows looking dangerous. Worrying signs for Richmond.
Trying desperately to be creative, wasn't he, Carey? Over the footy is Perry. Oh, eventually gets it out to Welsh. And the umpire says, well, he was calling it back. Yes, it was touched in the end.
As we saw in the first quarter, though, this is the danger time for Richmond. Crows very good at these set plays. They'll be expecting to score from this throw-in.
Stafford and Clark. Stengline there as well. Clark, deft touch. No one there for Adelaide at ground level, though. It was Kane Johnson, and he's the last one to get up.
Only looks like one-way traffic from the stoppages at the moment, doesn't it? Looks like Adelaide players are going to swoop on every clearance.
Richmond not getting inside their player. Kane Johnson, Wayne Campbell playing a very important role in that part.
20 the difference. Just Newman trying to work it backwards. Here's an opportunity now for Perry. Had it and then lost it. Tippendale getting through the traffic. And eventually they work it away. Coughlin in trouble. Just fumbled. Andrew McLeod's onto him. Eventually Tippendale gets it back and they work it away from half-back. Ill-directed though. They'll bring it back in again, Adelaide, as Massey gets it to Smart. Smart from the middle. High kick to within about 45 metres. They contest, but Zantuck at the back this time. It just went over the head of Welsh, and Zantuck able to judge it best. And there's a 50.
Mark Coughlin, just his fourth touch, averaging 21 a game this season, so he needs to get busy for the Tigers.
Sure does. Both he and Kane Johnson only with 3. Getting guarded by Robert Shirley at the moment, doing a very good job. Need to influence or make an influence on this game.
Zantuck kicks into the man on the mark. Welsh, Adelaide are away. John Cock could make them pay. Not a lot to kick to, in fact, nothing. He's got Perry inside the 50, and that's it. Just has to hold it up. Did well in the end. Now releases Laddams. He runs to 55. The only man back in the goal square is a Richmond player, so they have to run it in. Shirley to Welsh. Here's McLeod. Expects something exciting. Goes into the pocket. Well-weighted kick. Just clears John Cock. And in the end, it's an opportunity begging for Adelaide.
Well, they sort of had options everywhere, but didn't know which one to choose. There's a danger sign. Adelaide with the last 5 inside 50s. The machine is running. Richmond need to do something.
4-zip the inside 50s this term. Tivendale met solidly by Stengline and a bounce 40 metres out from the Adelaide goal.
We keep alluding to the same thing. We spoke before the game about Richmond's leadership from Campbell, Richardson, Otten, Stafford, Johnson. They need to assert an influence when the game is in the balance as it is at the moment.
Clark again got hands on ball, slaps towards the line. This time will be a throw in.
Cracker on, by the way, fellas, for David Roden.
So a throw in. Plenty of players around this one again. That tells a story, which we've had 5 touches in 5.5 minutes. Campbell. Rashudo wraps him up. Spews out the back to Johnson. Gets boot to ball. Open space. Smart attacks it. Richardson alongside. Comes to Dragicevic. Kicks to open space. Cracker. He's got a couple to beat. Coming out to meet it was Ottens. Did well. Forced a contest. Back to Dragicevic. To Cracker from 40. Flips it over the top. It's all Adelaide back there. Bassett. Sweeping handball to the run of Nigel Smart. Through the back edge of the square to McGregor. McGregor by hand to Rashudo. Little uncertain. So he goes to Edwards. To half forward. John Cock ran hard. Provided an option. 60 metres out. That's what he's got in front of him. Bit of space for them to lead into. There's the space. There's the lead. Kick had a bit much on it for McGregor. Took it on the bounce. Squares it up to the hot spot. Holland in the way for the Tigers. It's got Ottens in the middle of the ground. Would need to be a thumping kick to find him. Goes with it now. Rashudo will come in from the side. Ottens presents and takes the mark.
Plays on immediately by hand. Stafford storming through the middle up toward left half forward. The target down there was Richardson. Smart about to run onto the football. Coughlin likewise. Coughlin's got it. He was legged there. Umpire says play it on. Over the top of it again is Richardson. Adelaide will work it out. Andrew McLeod who runs away from half-back and then prods it down to right half-forward. Carey is target. With him is Holland. Still in play now. A couple against Carey. One of them is Johnson. Gets the hand pass away. Now it's coming back.
No questioning Richmond's endeavour. They're having a go, but it's just not quite working for them.
No, it's not. And the Crows are a fraction off the boil with their disposal, getting plenty of it, but turning it over on numerous occasions. So the door is certainly still ajar for Richmond.
Clark trying to get his hand to it. Laddams did. Now Burton, who had that fantastic week last week with 30-odd kicks inside 50, a couple to beat for Welsh. Hand pass, Perry, just a little bit wide for him. Opportunity now for Chaffee, gets it over quickly. Newman, not sure, undecided, eventually hand passes to Bowden, outside the defensive 50. Are they out of trouble? It's close to the boundary line, that'll be the best result. No, in the end, Adelaide are about to come back again. And McLeod, 75 metres from goal. Long kick, well inside 50. Welsh again, had 2 bites at it over the line. Kellaway rolling with the footy. Umpire to toss in right forward pocket. 20 the difference.
Matthew Richardson coming to the interchange bench, replaced by Adam Houlihan. Richardson with 4 possessions, 2 marks.
Throw in, right forward pocket for Adelaide. Risciuto, long firing hand pass over to his former skipper, and that's Bickley. High kick, it's going to go wide into the left forward pocket. Perry just lost sight of it there, and Chaffee was able to fire it away. And Zantuck from half-back, punched forward though by Adelaide by Bassett, and it's over the line. In fact, that was Massey doing that good work, double fister. And there's Richardson having a chat to the coach, 27-7.
Richmond needs some resolve on the scoreboard. They're working hard, but it's all defensive work at the moment. Free kick from the ruck contest. It's going to Stafford. They need to get some ball forward to the centre, Chris, and start putting the Adelaide defence under some pressure.
Certainly do. Just not enough run from their midfield. And this is what we're seeing, the stop-start play. Kick, mark, stop. No run from Richmond. Adelaide full of run, just not making it count on the scoreboard.
Campbell short to Cameron. Back to Campbell. Squares it up to centre half-back. He's got some space to go forward now, but not many options, as you can see. Just has to stand there and hold it. To Cameron. He lopes onto that left boot. Goes towards half-forward. It'll reach Ottens on the bounce. Big task, did well. Handball inside, just missed Tivendale. He's now on his wrong side. Has to screw inside 50, did it well. Kept his head. Rogers presented himself and he honoured the lead.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it was effective. Matty Rogers with the ball inside 50. And he's a goal kicker. They've just got to grind away now, Richmond. That's what character's all about, grinding away. They are far from out of this contest, getting plenty of the ball. This is an important kick for goal. Keep them in touch.
Richardson returns to the fray. The ball's with Rogers. 1 goal 3 for the season. Be a timely one for Richmond. And he misses. Disappointment. Hard work from the Tigers. Their first score for the second term. Is a behind. The margin, 19 points. The ball with Risciuto. Burns checks into the game. That's the cheer you can hear as Perry comes to the bench for a spell. There's a mismatch in the forward line now for Adelaide. Burns will be picked up by Kellaway. The Tiger defence will have to swing around and make a change. Campbell over the top, brought it to ground. Bowden got boot to ball. Hurriedly inside 50. Rogers bumped off his kick. Spectacular from Hart. Campbell in on the bottom of the pack as usual. Risciuto in there as well. And a ball up about 35 metres out from Richmond's goal. Need to manufacture something here.
Well, they do, but you've got to get the feeling the Crows just a little bit off the boil. While they've had plenty of ball, they're certainly not putting Richmond away.
And that's why the Tigers need to score. Dragicevic wrapped up by Massey, going nowhere.
You're right, that's why the goal from Rogers was so important. All that hard work and grinding away, they've got to make it count on the scoreboard. Cannot afford to let the Crows off the hook at any stage.
They've worked so hard, the Tigers. They've had 104 touches for 1 goal. Risciuto to McGregor. Handball releases Burton. Creative, he's looking for Smart. Just floated past, picked off by Newman to Bowden. Wanted to step inside Smart. Too experienced to fall for that. And he goes short to Richardson. 75 metres out. Thumps it long towards the goal square. Ottens presses back. Bassett, the third man up, picked it off. Switches to the outer side for McGregor. Laddams is broken for him. He's got Hart further up the ground. He can go for a run, Laddams. No one coming at him, as you can see. Fleming does now. Draws the man. Gives it to Hart. Fleming was gallant. Hart fended him off. Went inboard and found Bickley. Bickley will chip over the top to the run of Edwards. And that's the sort of free-flowing, leaking football we haven't seen Richmond manufacture so far. Edwards inside 50. Good running from Laddams. Just worked hard down that outer wing. And the reward is a shot for goal, 45 metres out, tough angle.
Danny Paul will be pulling his hair out. Opportunity at one end goes begging. And then just far too easy for the Crows on the rebound. Laddams runs unchecked down the outer wing and then into open space inside 50. A breach of discipline. Here's a beautiful kick for goal. This is a big kick.
15 goals, 13 for the season. Chris Laddams, in he comes. Tries to work it back, but misses to the left-hand side. So ideal conditions, little to no wind at all to speak of. The two sides, skill levels, would be disappointing their respective coaches.
Laddams, one of the real sharpshooters in the Adelaide side. In fact, one of the best sharpshooters in the competition. Here's Zantuck now. He's just backing back. He's under real pressure. Campbell, who reappears for the Tigers this week. That's over the line. Bit of pressure from Ben Hart. He's played 1 million games. Been there pretty well from the start. He's been a wonderful player.
It's a lot of games. A million. Played a lot in his mind, Chris.
One of the best defenders in the business. Clark, Laddams, McLeod. Here's danger for sure and certain. A bit of dancing by McLeod. High kick to within about 25 or 30. Welsh in the general vicinity. Knocked away from him. And Stenglein is held up. He's pack tackled by a couple. John Cock there as well. Inside 50 is the bounce. Burton takes it spectacularly, holding the ball. And it'll come back. Kellaway done a good job on Perry, who's off the ground at the moment. Stafford.
Just need to get some flow and run into the game. It's so static at the moment for Richmond.
Stop-start, isn't it? Mark, hold up, kick. Off comes Bickley. Bigland's ready to come on. Clark will come off for him. Cameron is short passing it to Campbell. Backward of centre half-back. Now to a contest. Kellaway at ground level does well. Works the hand pass wide. Now perhaps a chance here for the Tigers as they work it downfield. Past Richardson. Roden. And it's out. So it's just ugly. Kick and mark and work it down and then back it goes to the other end of the ground, and it's pretty ordinary at the moment. There's the leading disposals for Edwards, Bassett and Rashudo and co. Just need something. They need a spark. They need someone to try and lift them here, the Tigers. And that is a throw, so that's exactly what they didn't need. So Adelaide to work this away from half-back. And he's just so disappointed with that. Here's Kane Johnson and Laddams to take the free kick.
Inside his own defensive 50. Tigers need to man up. Don't give Adelaide any space, any easy possessions. But unfortunately, they do. And Shirley takes it. Back to Laddams, to the wing. Again, they create some space, and it's Burton.
Just being forced wide, though, Adelaide. Not their normal game style. They prefer to play the corridor at the moment, kicking the ball wide and into that pocket on numerous occasions this quarter.
Inside 50, Ottens and Stafford have been important for the Tigers. Unfortunately, more so defensively than up in the forward end.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Stafford's such an important player for them, not having a major influence. Got to get him inside 50 and straighten them up a fraction. But both Carey, Richardson just playing the game wide at the moment and forcing a lot of errors.
Bode off the stoppage. Kick for goal. Just works its way to the right-hand side. Sneaks inside the post for a score.
If anything, though, Danny Frawley, I mean, it works in Richmond's favour. It keeps them within reach of the Crows. Gary Ayres would be the coach that's probably the most frustrated at this stage.
Bowden thumps it long, kicks it over the zone. It was a good kick. Realised his opportunity and seized it. The Tigers are away. Callaway to Cameron. Finds Roden in some space. Need to move it. Got men inside. One of them's Coughlin. He takes the mark. can go to Cameron. Cameron runs to 35. Not sure if there's sense in playing on. It'll work out all right because Johnson will go to Rogers. And he marks 30 metres out directly in front. Maybe just overcooked it for a moment, but they got out of it.
Certainly did. Rogers gets a chance to make amends for the earlier blemish. Kane Johnson, as we said, needs to make an influence and an impact on this game. Gets the assist. Rogers needs the goal.
He kicks this and they're 14 down. Really need this one for the confidence, the Tigers. Reward for hard work. Keeps it low. Kicks through it. He likes it. Tigers have their second.
Stock up with Bundaberg Rum and Smirnoff Vodka, any two for $48.99. Or grab a carton of Carlton Cold Stubbies, only $28.99. Renmano 4-litre casks, only $11.99 each for pressings, Semillon Sauvignon Blanc or Cabernet Merlot. And pick up 12-year-old Glenfiddich Malt Whisky, $39.99 each.
Half-time with plenty of reason and hope.
Yeah, my maths was never any good. It is 15 points, not 14, 29 to 14. And we're at the latter stages of the second quarter. And the Tigers are about to go forward. And here they go now. And that was Bitterscombe. But it's been cut off by Bassett, who's going to play his 100th game next week for Adelaide. Off to Tyson Edwards, into the back pocket for Smart. And now Rasciuto. Here in Adelaide, the skipper almost in slow motion then, and he sends it beyond the wing, a couple up, both of them Tigers, one of them was Coghlan. Hart didn't panic. Carey down to 50, and just stepping in front was Zantuck. It was against Burns.
This is where they need to break the lines, Chris.
Cappy, Hyde. Chris Hyde, who's just come on, goes very wide to Kellaway. He's having a very good game.
And again, they're forced laterally, straight across the ground.
So they're not going straight down the middle.
But the midfield not running hard enough, and the telly doesn't quite pick it up. But their on-ballers got to the middle of the ground. Mark Coghlan was the player on that occasion, and instead of running and pushing hard wide, he just stood in the middle of the ground. Didn't create an option, didn't create space. The midfield need to run harder.
Fleming to Bitterscombe. McLeod had a bit of Fleming's jumper. That was the reason for that free kick, and that was a very good mark backing back by Stenglein. Off to McGregor, just no pressure at all. Out wide to Hart. This is Ben Hart. He just takes his time. 263 games to be precise. Down to the wing. Kellaway. High kick by Ottens. Inside the 50, bit of jostling, pushing and shoving, and it's a free kick to Richmond, and it's a free kick to Richardson, and Smart is bitterly disappointed with that result, and he's arguing with the umpire, but there's little or no point in that,
saying he was going for the ball.
No, the free kick's definitely there, and much better from Brad Ottens and Richmond as well. If in doubt, just bang it inside 50. Richardson and Stafford were both there on that occasion. Take your chances, kick it to your big men in the danger zone. Richardson gets maybe the fortuitous free kick, but the free kick nonetheless, a scoring opportunity results. Richmond a step closer.
Well, if he kicks this, they're 9 points down, but he hasn't done it yet, but he's moving in from 50. Matthew Richardson, kick on its way. And you can hear the crowd as they cheer because it's offline, and Andrew McLeod to bring it back into play.
Tigers need to hold in the last 4 minutes. They've worked hard and hung into this contest. Massey has it at defensive 50. But again, they create space so much more easily than Richmond do at the moment. Smart, he's away from Bitterscombe, has a bounce, runs to 60, works to Bassett, back to Smart. The veteran from 40 metres will go himself, tries to bend it back. But look at that transition of play from one end to the other in 15 seconds. That's what the Tigers need to try and replicate.
It certainly is. The only problem again for the Crows, a little bit wide. It's very difficult to kick goals from that pocket here at Damey Stadium. The transition was fantastic. So the avenue to goal was probably not the right one.
See what Richmond can do here. Tivendale to Hyde. Chris Hyde in his 5th game. The youngster from Baruga up on the Murray River. Goes short to Campbell. This is where they need to move it on. Campbell, Richardson works very hard, did well, presented himself and took the mark on the wing. Take note of where he is, right up on the wing, so he does work up the ground. High ball to 50. Cameron off the hands of the pack. He's got a man pushing forward. It's Tivendale. He's on the left, decided to play on, keeps it low, tries to guide it through, but can't. Well, the Tigers are having a moment, no question of that. But they need to make it count. They've worked their way back into a 14-point ball game.
Without doubt, a real momentum swing. But you're right, they've got to kick a couple of goals. One before half-time would be very handy.
Here's Adelaide's lightning fast transition again. In the blink of an eye, it's with Stenglein on centre wing. Inboard to Biglands. He's got a man running in support. It's Rashudo. He looks up, has got Massey unattended at 50. So fluent going forward, Adelaide. Massey from 55. Thumps it to the square. It's going right to the line. Good defensive fist from Andrew Callaway. Saves the day for the Tigers. Now Richmond's turn to counter-attack from full-back. Can they get some run and flow? It'll start with Bowden.
And Bowden goes short. 25, 30-metre pass, if that. To Cameron. Just a tick over 2 minutes remaining until half-time. Bowden, equally as short as those last 2 kicks. Kane Johnson, former Adelaide player. Kicks downfield. Coughlin, almost the mark. Not paid, though. Smart. Welsh. Now Johncock. They lose it. In fact, it was Bode who was involved in all of that. And in the end, Adelaide get it back. And this is Johncock. He's right on the wing. Sending it downfield to Rashudo. So a late charge here for Adelaide. Rashudo 75 metres from goal. Loads it up. They need a mark here, Adelaide. At the back is Callaway, working hard. Here's Burns, just went without it. Kept in place, still with Burns, tries to force it forward. McLeod kicked off the ground by the Richmond defence. Good thinking in the end. Otten's charging after it. Just overrunning it there was Laddams. And the Tigers can work it. This is Roden on the wing, 31 to 16. Roden, 30 metres downfield to a loose man. And it's Richardson. Newman on his own inside 50, and Richardson spotted him, and he goes short. Newman's got it. So this is a very important play here for the Tigers, and bang on a minute to go until half-time, and Newman's got the chance to really close this gap.
And great running from Chris Newman. Just had to push hard inside 50 after the mistake came from Laddams. The ball at ground level, Laddams runs over the top of it. Ottens picks it up. The resultant mistake in the hands of Richmond. A big kick, this one, just before half-time.
Well, you get a perfect view of it, and there's his kick, and it is straight through.
Why do we always fall for the ones we can't have?
You going to be home tonight?
Yeah, I think so.
When do you give up? When you're in love, you need a sledgehammer to make you stop.
It's time for Tidy to put his feelings on the line. The moment of truth.
I love you, and you don't love me.
This is the episode that will make them or break them. McLean's presents a special Secret Life, 8:30 Monday.
So Chris Newman, just his 4th goal in league football, brings the Tigers back within 9 points. Again, Matthew Richardson involved, well outside 50. Biglan's a tap. Bode, good hands. Time for one more for Adelaide. Under 30 seconds remaining. Carey, Burns, spills to Hyde through his hands. Johnson to open space. Tivendale in best position. Chance for Richmond now if they can move it quickly. They're running forward to the ball. Here's Cameron, can have a bounce. He runs to 55. He runs to 40 metres out. Goes for goal as Leon Cameron and misses. Exciting build-up from the Tigers. Again, when they can run forward and create some open space, they look so dangerous. They're well and truly in this game at half-time. The ball will finish with Tyson Edwards. Half-time at Amy Stadium, a frustrated Danny Frawley. But part of him, I'm sure, would be content with the fact they're within 8 points. Adelaide 4-7-31. The Tigers 3-5-23.
your moment. This is your moment. This is it. Your one chance at your dream. Your dream. How bad do you want it? Your life is going to change forever.
Bacon and egg McMuffin? I don't know, Reg. Hash brown? I just can't decide.
Selected breakfast items are now available all day at McDonald's.
I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure. Eh?
Your one-stop flooring shop, Discount City Carpets' huge stock take sale is on now, with massive price reductions on timber flooring, ceramic tiles, vinyls, rugs and thousands of metres of carpet clearing at genuine savings, some stock well below cost. This has to be Discount City Carpets' biggest stock take sale yet. And remember, no matter what price you get elsewhere, Discount City Carpets will beat it, guaranteed. Discount City Carpets. Superstores and Super Warehouse, your one-stop flooring shop, guaranteeing the lowest prices.
I'll never fall in love again since you said goodbye.
Like any woman, I've got certain needs. I get my cravings. Chocolate, ice cream, or just a sweet, hot cuppa. My daily cup of Jarrah Cafe Latte usually hits the spot. Every woman craves, every day. Jarrah, 99% fat-free.
Would you like a home loan that gives you the power to win? What about a home loan that gives you the power to pay off your debt faster? Visit a Power Home Finance store to find out the benefits of the Power Loan. The Power Loan is ideal for debt consolidation, investment properties and portfolios, accessing additional funds, and purchasing a new property. Drop into a Power Home Finance store at Westfield TTP or Marion, or phone 82327977 to find out how a Power Loan can help you.
Leather Chesterfield, only $8.99. Look on you. Rather be sitting on this? Look on you. Your leather specialist. Sensational. All over leather. Look on you.
Explosive, dynamic, unstoppable. Adelaide's Andrew McLeod. Medals of Honour commemorates Adelaide's decorated champion and celebrates his triumphs. Each action print is individually signed by Andrew. Strictly limited to 250 units. You can own yours framed for $495 or unframed for $395 plus postage and handling. Call 1-800-232-582 now to order your tribute to a Crows champion.
Follow these signs at Truscott Hi-Fi and you'll save up to 40% on TVs, hi-fi components, speakers, hi-fi systems, DVD players, VCRs and cabinets. Up to 40% off. Truscott Hi-Fi City. Open Sunday 11 till 5.
Bacon and egg McMuffin? I don't know, Reg. Hash brown? I just can't decide.
Selected breakfast items are now available all day at McDonald's.
I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure. Eh?
You're watching Ford Footy Talk.
Half-time at Amy Stadium, and we have a game on our hands. Adelaide 4-7-31, Richmond 3-5-23. The margin 8 points, all single goal kickers. In that second term, it was Richmond kicking 2 goals for to Adelaide's 1 goal for. For both sides, it's been a story of missed opportunities. As we take a look at the leading stat getters, the top 3 in that game are Adelaide. Rashudo Bassett's been sensational down back. Tyson Edwards also working well from defence. And the skipper, Wayne Campbell, just slotted back in after missing since round 9.
Yeah, the Crows very dominant in their back half. Rashudo pushing back into his defensive 50 to get a lot of his ball as well, which is fine, but they've taken the ball so wide, Adelaide. They've really played into Richmond's hands, and to Richmond's credit, they've really manufactured a couple of goals. Tivendale kicks his and Rogers kicks his, and they're in front. So Danny Frawley with a lot to be happy about at half-time. Gary Ayres, on the other hand, at half-time, he'd be pretty frustrated and annoyed at the way the Crows played that second quarter.
Well, we mentioned Richmond's work rate early in the game, even when things weren't going their way, and we said that they were hanging in there. You couldn't question their endeavour. It was just that Adelaide were moving the football much better, and that was also the case in the second term as well. But with the likes of Carey, Burton having an influence early, this man Laddams has looked dangerous at running the lines. Adelaide have just looked a bit more fluent transition football from defence to attack.
Yeah, they certainly look like the team more likely to kick goals and successive goals. But they got very cute with the footy in that second part of the second quarter, going wide, Wayne Carey leading wide. That certainly hurt them, and to Richmond's credit, you know, Richardson started to get his hand to the ball. It was wide, but he started to have an influence over Nigel Smart, and they slowly clawed their way back into this contest, and now she's an even money bet, and that's exactly where Danny Fawley wanted to be at half-time.
Contrasting game plans, we saw it in the second term, particularly from the defensive kick-ins. Adelaide are committed to running forward of the football, fluency, playing on at all costs, breaking the lines, getting it forward quickly. The Tigers, conversely, are preoccupied with hanging onto the football and making sure they don't turn over possession with skill errors, because they know they'll get punished.
Yeah, certainly do, and it's a frustrating style of game and a frustrating contrast to watch. But it's an intriguing game of footy. It's a chess match at the moment. And the thing with Richmond is their natural game plan to get it long to Richardson, Ottens and Stafford hasn't really come into play yet. We haven't seen them be a big influence inside 50. Maybe that'll happen in the second half.
But you get the feeling that Richardson, Ottens and Stafford all can have an influence in this game.
Oh, no question. They're the sleeping giants at the moment. And Richmond have still got something up their sleeve. A bit to be worried about for Adelaide. And, you know, Richmond fans, you know, hang in there because they're a chance.
Look at the total numbers. Possessions 159 to 153 in favour of Adelaide. Nothing in that. Clearances are 15-11 in favour of the Crows. Inside 50s, if we look down the bottom there, 26 to 22. So not much in it either. So most of the key performance indicators for the Tigers justify the 8-point margin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty good in the stat sheet. And the good thing the second half, we saw Kane Johnson starting to get hold of the ball. Campbell's had 14 touches. So the important leadership group that we've been speaking about are having an influence.
8 points the margin at half-time. This game well and truly alive. Well, it's been a bit of a nervous night for two players in particular, Kane Johnson and Jason Tawney, who swapped clubs to play against their old clubs for the first time tonight. After the break, Tiffany Cherry will catch up with Jason Tawney.
You lose a little bit of innocence, I guess, finding out that the club can easily sort of trade you at the end of the year. But, you know, in this day and age, that's what footy's about, and a lot of players have to go through it, and I'm just one of them.
Tawney inside 50, in attack, the ex-Tiger for the perfect start.
It's the show that launched 1,000 dodgy hairstyles.
From day one, I was like, he is so hot.
Now the gang reveals all the secrets you hoped were true.
No, they don't know.
You were having a pretty good time.
Beverly Hills 10-year reunion premieres 8:30 Tuesday on 10. He asks the big question.
You do Howard impressions.
All in the name of fun.
You adorable boy.
Tuesday comedy duo Leno and Woodley, plus Shaggy in the studio live. A huge rove, 9:30 Tuesday on 10.
Myland Office Furniture's second-hand division is brimful of the choicest office furniture around. Attractive, modern pieces in excellent condition. There's always a bargain to be found in our extensive range of used gas lift chairs and factory second bookcases in a range of finishes and sizes. And remember our second-hand policy. If you're not happy with your purchase, return it within 30 days and we'll exchange it. So visit Myland's second-hand first.
We could really use Bosley's help on this one.
What y'all need me to do?
Just blend in.
Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu, Charlie's Angels, in cinemas now.
There's never been a better time to make live face-to-face video calls.
Because for a limited time only, if you join 3 with a friend, you'll get 2 handsets for the price of one.
2 for 1 on 3.
Follow these signs at Truscott Hi-Fi and you'll save up to 40% on TVs, hi-fi components, speakers, hi-fi systems, DVD players, VCRs and cabinets. Up to 40% off. Truscott Hi-Fi City, open Sunday 11 till 5.
Tired of pizzas with hard and edible crusts? Right now, with every stuffed crust order, we'll give you a box of cinnamon fingers absolutely free. A box of cinnamon fingers? Sweet stuff.
In 1995 to 2002, but after finishing 7th in their best and fairest, he was off to Adelaide, where his footy career started as part of the Carey-Johnson deal. Here's Tiffany Cherry with Jason Tawney.
Well, Jace, the time has come. You're up against your old side.
Yep, it's been a long time in the waiting. Round 14, I sort of penciled it in early in the year to find out when we were going to play them. And yeah, looking forward to having a crack at the old team.
Jason Tawney played 118 games over a career spanning 8 years at Punt Road. He finished 7th in the Tigers' best and fairest last year. Before he was hit with a bombshell, his services were no longer required at the club. How hard was it when they told you that this was going to happen?
Oh, it was very hard. I mean, I've been, I was at Richmond for 8 years, and it was, I played my first game and 50th game and 100th game, and had a lot of history there, and I was very proud of my career there. And it does, you lose a little bit of innocence, I guess, finding out that the club can easily sort of trade you at the end of the year. But, you know, in this day and age, that's what footy's about, and a lot of players have to go through it, and I'm just one of them, you know. I'm just one of many that get traded each year, and fortunately, I've been traded to a great club.
You must have been pretty fired up to prove a point. In your first game, you actually named him one of the best on ground.
Yeah, it was obviously looking forward to the season starting and showing the football world that that, you know, I've been traded, but I'm still not a bad player. So I just had a bit of a crack and managed to get a few touches and kick a goal. So it was definitely a dream start to my career at the new club.
Chance for Tawney, 35 metres out. Can he swing it back? Great snap. He's kicked the goal.
His new coach, Gary Ayres, couldn't believe his luck when Tawney's name was raised as part of the Carey deal.
All you can ask for guys who get a second opportunity is to grab it, and so far he's been very solid across half-back. Probably played a couple of different roles for us, a little bit more in the forward line than what he probably did at Richmond, but you know, he's a fantastic young man, and he's fitted into our structure pretty well. So, and he just wants to keep improving all the time, and someone who's at 25 years of age, if that's his sole aim, well, I think he'll have a pretty reasonable career.
Along with his wife Jodie and 5-month-old baby daughter Bailey, Jason has returned to his childhood home. His new club and teammates complimented with his new role away from the footy field.
You can't think too much of yourself on sort of match days and stuff, because you're still getting up at 6 o'clock when Bailey gets up. So it definitely puts a different twist on life at home, that's for sure.
And the ever-reliable defender has found himself adapting to a new role on field, with the Crows giving him freedom to move further up the ground.
In attack, the ex-Tiger for the perfect start, drives it through.
Yeah, I think they had a pretty settled defence, Adelaide, and it was not going to be hard, but if I just pinned my hopes on that, it was going to maybe struggle a little bit. So to play through the midfield and change up there and even half forward, I've played a couple of games, so I don't know, it's helped my footy, and it's given you an extra challenge each week.
Coming out of Tawney! Oh, that's a big run!
Certainly been a handy pickup, has Jason Tawney. Half-time here at Amy Stadium. It's the Crows leading by 8 points. There's another game of round 14 action on this evening. It's at the Telstra Dome in Melbourne. The Kangaroos facing Collingwood. Replay scheduled on various networks. So if you don't want to know the score, look away now. Well, are the planets aligned for Richmond to snap their 5-game losing streak? We'll find out after the break. Half-time at Amy Stadium. It's the Crows by 8 points.
You've been watching Ford Footy Talk.
A big 1.6 twin cam, air, CD and power steering, now from $15,490. Drive away, no more to pay. The new Hyundai Accent, unbelievable drive away value.
Your one-stop flooring shop, Discount City Carpet's huge stock take sale is on now, with massive price reductions on timber flooring, ceramic tiles, vinyls, rugs and thousands of metres of carpet, clearing at genuine savings. Some stock well below cost. This has to be Discount City Carpet's biggest stock take sale yet. And remember, no matter what price you get elsewhere, Discount City Carpets will beat it, guaranteed. Discount City Carpets. Superstores and Super Warehouse, your one-stop flooring shop, guaranteeing the lowest prices.
New Heinz Big Red and Meat Pie flavoured chips from Smith's.
There's only one thing in Duff Creek strong enough to drown out onion breath. Chew PK for longer lasting fresh breath.
LG Home Theatre. Surround sound that'll blow you away. LG. Life's good.
We're off to the city. City dismantlers, of course. It's so huge, the only way to see it is in one of these. Check out the size of this place. There's over 9 acres undercover. All the big names are catered for. Engine reconditioning, bags and tyres, new engine part. It's massive, and the staff have the experience to back it up. Now that's service. Come to the city for all your auto needs. Yeah, City Dismantlers. They're Australia's largest automotive supercentre.
Follow these signs at Truscott Hi-Fi and you'll save up to 40% on TVs, hi-fi components, speakers, hi-fi systems, DVD players, VCRs and cabinets. Up to 40% off. Truscott Hi-Fi City. Open Sunday 11 till 5.
A big 1.8 air, CD, central locking, sedan or liftback from only $19,990. Drive away, no more to pay. The Hyundai Elantra, unbelievable drive away value.
The AFL Premiership Season 2003, brought to you by Carlton, brewed since 1864, and our telecast sponsors Carlton Draft. Draft beer at its best. Ford New Falcon, can't get enough of this. Discount City Carpet Superstores. Truscott Hi-Fi, best advice, low price. Booze Brothers. Sky City Adelaide, the place to see footy on the big screen. RAA Insurance. And Telstra.
Almost set to go in the third term. It's the Crows leading by 8 points as we head down to Troy Gray.
Well, football's not all about the big marks, boys. It's about the big hits. And Wayne Carey, all the media talk's been about his off-the-field exploits. He's the intimidator, no doubt about that. And these Crows players walk a lot taller off the field. He's given some absolutely great thuds, and it's good to be boundary side to hear it all. So well done, Wayne.
Adelaide 4-7, Richmond 3-5.
And Burton's gone to full forward, Hart onto the wing.
Yeah, the Crows just need to straighten up a fraction. Brett Burton into the goal square with Wayne Carey. Richmond need the first goal. They finished the second quarter full of running, full of momentum. start in the first 5 minutes, critical for both teams.
Critical first goal. And away we go in the second half. Otten's jumped early. Clark took it out of the ruck. Was wrapped up. Umpire said holding the ball. Free kick to the Tigers. And Bowden, no one on the mark. Gains a couple of metres. Pumps it long inside 50. Tigers would love one here. Stafford at ground level. Richardson emerges from the congestion. Farms it out. Too far for Tivendale. It's picked off by Laddams. He finds Rashudo, defensive 50. Searching kick was a good one. Found Johncock. Centre wing. Looks up. Had Laddams inside. Goes inboard. And finds Shirley. Back to Laddams. He has some space. Plays on. Bombs it inside 50. Burton. Spectacular, but never really a chance to mark. And a throw in.
No, and I'm sure Gary Ayres would have mentioned to the Crows at half-time that they've got to get the ball inside the corridor. The first couple of minutes, though, Chris Laddams with the ball, uncontested possession again, choosing to kick the ball wide. It is very hard to score from out there.
Crucial stage of the game. Clark got hands on it. Fleming slammed it on the boot in a hurry. Only as far as Hart. Inboard to McLeod. Thumps it high. They'll contest 25 metres out from goal. Carey through his hands. Burton at the back. Throws it on the boot. Misses the lot. And the Tigers can regroup from the back pocket.
That's the spot to kick the ball, though. Andrew McLeod does the discipline thing, kicks it to the hot spot. Crows couldn't capitalise.
Tigers out of trouble for the time being. Coughlin out wide to Chaffee. Chaffee now from wing downfield. That's better. Richardson, well, I say better, it's still wide. But it was a quick transition of play. He kicks to the hot spot and almost a mark there. Not quite. Not quite. That was a great opportunity for the Tigers. As McGregor gets it out. And away go Adelaide. Out to the wing. Perry was back on the ground. That was really a very big chance for Stafford. But unfortunately for the Tigers, Adelaide worked it away. And Johnson just looked a little frustrated there. And it's over the line on the wing. Rucks to it. Rashudo tied up. Clark. Bit untidy. Clark tries to knock it to the advantage of Shirley, who's over the footy. They're into his back. They'll get a free kick. Played very well last week. Just being held up by Johnson. And now Coughlin's holding him up. Eventually he goes by hand to Rashudo. From centre half forward, long kick, inside 50 over the head of Welsh. The chance for Carey and also Johncock. Johncock chasing hard. He's got the footy, but they've got him. That was valiant.
Goal-saving tackle from Chaffee.
Great tackle from Chaffee. Richmond have certainly come out and started this third quarter well. They're in the game.
It's slightly ajar for Adelaide. It's in their attacking zone. Kellaway, quick hands. Just need to work it away. They do. Richardson, gee, what's he doing back there? Floats the hand pass over the top. Zantuck swings it. Tried to. In the end, it went to Bickley, who pumps it back. And there's a man loose, and it's Smart. And Bowden to stand the mark.
Gee, that skill error hurts again, doesn't it? Richmond hit a target, they're away, and they're kicking for goal themselves.
So here's Smart loading up from about 75 metres. Carey just slightly wide of him. Clark was there as well. Otten's pulled off the footy. Here's Rashudo having a shot, and he misses. He was slung. His kick just misses.
And much better from the Crows, though. The last three forward entries have all been to the hot spot. Vintage of their game plan, uncomplicated, into the corridor. Crummers front and square.
Tivendale to Johnson. Goes outside 50 and finds Zantuck. Called to play on. Mark not paid. He goes short and finds Campbell. Tigers need to build something off half-back. No one behind Wayne Campbell. There's a mass of players. And somehow in the middle of that, he finds Chaffee in space. The overlap run from Bowden. He'll thump it long to a one-on-one at the top of the goal square. Rogers against Bassett. Bassett in best position. Took the mark. He's had a ripping game, Nathan Bassett. He goes to Ben Hart. Now the Crows with some space to counter-punch. Massey to John Cock. Made it good. Plays on. No one coming at him, so he can pump the ball forward. Here's McGregor. He can go over the top to Welsh. Welsh to 45. Sets sail for home. Bends it back. Goal!
Telstra has a new easy way of getting messages on your home phone, and it's completely free. It's called Telstra Home Messages 101. It takes messages when you're away from the phone, even when you're on the phone or internet. To turn it on, just dial 101. You know, it's great doing television without having to do a gag.
Telstra Home Messages 101. It's free to turn on and free to use. Dial 101 from home to turn it on.
Results, Richmond on the back foot. Lead out to 15. Ottens and Clark. And away we go again. Early stages, third quarter. Rashudo. Johnson for the Tigers. Shirley with him.
If Greg Stafford is going to play inside 50 for Richmond, he's got to just stand at the top of the goal square. He shouldn't be a leading option. He is a tall target and a stationary one.
Here's the bounce. Working it out to the wing was Bowden, and Shirley there over the footy. And again, there'll be a bounce right on the logo on this western side. There's Stafford and McGregor and the old scoreboard in the background. Clark, Johnson, but eventually it's Shirley who swings it nicely to John Cock. About 85 metres from goal. John Cock, that's a penetrating kick. Burton, spectacularly. Couldn't mark. Second effort, outstanding. Swings it round. It's bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. Well, the leap was spectacular, and the kick was just as good.
Certainly vintage Brett Burton, unable to hold on to the ball on that occasion. But you can see what Gary Ayres' message must have been at half-time. Boys, get the ball in the corridor. Keep it simple. And that's certainly how they're playing it at the moment.
Even David Campbell for the skipper's 17th touch. That's what he's got in front of him. Looking for an uncontested possession. He's called to play on. Swings it wide. Well-weighted kick. Finds Biddiscombe. Callaway on his own, 60 metres away. Perry tracks back. Callaway's got to go. Over the top. Gave away the free kick. Ball just hung in the air too long.
And did it well, Ian Perry. Kept his eye on the ball, went back with the flight, did the courageous thing, got rewarded with the free kick.
There's Callaway flying over the top. The kick from Perry goes straight back to Andrew Callaway. And they could do it all again. This time he goes short. Finds Chaffee. By hand to Kane Johnson. The kick's gone straight to Welsh. He's dropped it. Ottens went to ground though. Has numbers in support. It's Newman. Goes short to Coughlin. Again, the Tigers going laterally. This time Coughlin goes straight up the middle. There's tall timber there off the hands of Richardson. The back is Hart. The mop up to Edwards. That kick floats wide and out. So the Tigers still a chance. They need the next goal. And they're a chance through Biddiscombe. He's 65 metres out. Richardson calls for it long in the goal square. You can see him at the top of your screen. Here comes the ball. Richardson works his way to the front and takes the mark. He has worked his backside off tonight, Matthew Richardson, at both ends of the ground. You get the feeling if Richardson, Ottens and Stafford can all have a positive influence in this game, the Tigers are a genuine hope.
No question about that. Greg Stafford holds his ground at the front of the pack, does the disciplined thing, gives Richardson the armchair ride, the kick long and strong to the hot spot, keep it simple. That is the way Richmond can win this game. Richardson great on that occasion.
Bit of a knee shaker, this one for Matthew Richardson. We're about 20 metres out. Kicks through it and sneaks it inside the right post. Richo's got two.
Stock up with Bundaberg rum and Smirnoff vodka, any two for $48.99. Or grab a carton of Carlton Cold Stubbies, only $28.99. Renmano 4-litre casks, only $11.99 each for pressings, Semillon Sauvignon Blanc or Cabernet Merlot. And pick up 12-year-old Glenfiddich malt whisky, $39.99 each.
Beat the others cold.
In this game.
Danny Frawley watching on from the coach's box. 20 goals to Richardson, 2 tonight. And they're right back in this, the Tigers. There's just 10 points the difference. The breakaway will be important here. There is none. And there'll be a secondary bounce.
What you've got to get the feeling is they've got their structure right. Ottens is the man to take the ruck, work in the back play, get the ball in the midfield. Stafford is definitely the man inside 50 as the stationary target. Richardson the workhorse. Richmond have got their mix right. Can they put the result on the board?
Clark and Ottens. Ottens with a high kick, again penetrating the 50, downfield. Here's Richardson, got his hand to it. He's still in the general vicinity, needs to try and do something creative now that he's on the ground. And the umpire to bounce, 30 metres from goal. Smart alongside of Richardson as well.
This game's waiting for Matthew Richardson to take it by the throat.
Sure is. He's certainly get his hands to plenty of balls. Nigel Smart does give him a chance.
Well, the door well and truly ajar here for the Tigers. Richardson again in the thick of it.
Free kick, holding the ball, taking it out of the ruck, Richmond's way. Guess who?
Well, that's the new rule, so you can't complain if you're going to pluck the ball out of the air. You're taking a huge risk, and while it might be harsh, that is the rule, and the deserved free kick to Matthew Richardson.
So the margin at the moment, as you can clearly see, is 10 points. And there's a great shot. That's what is confronting Matthew Richardson.
Is it just me, or is he aiming at the left post there with that runner?
He's got 2. This to get his side to within 4 points. Great shot, great kick, and the margin is 4 points, and Richardson has 3.
Well, Ryder, when we first spoke on the phone, she was warm, friendly, she laughed at my jokes. It was a beautiful thing. We got along like a house on fire. Until what? Until the house caught on fire. And I rang her to make an insurance claim. Hello, trust? Whatever happened to trust? Trust, trust, trust.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Free kick against Matthew Clark. Richardson gets his second goal. And the margin back to just 4 points. Tigers on a bit of a roll. Another secondary bounce in the middle. There have been very few clear stoppages from the centre clearances tonight.
Certainly have, but the good thing for Richmond is they're getting their hands first on the footy tonight. Previous clearances, we've seen the Crows with their hands first after the tap out, but Richmond players in at the footy and desperate, good signs.
We've seen it all year. It's important to nullify Adelaide in that way. Hawthorn did it very well when they beat them at the MCG. Campbell pushed himself back into defence then as the loose man and found the football at defensive 55. 18th touch for Wayne Campbell. Short to Tivendale. Lopes away, goes up the middle. Suddenly some space opening up for Richmond. Holland to Bowden, back to Holland. Again, they'll thump it long, give their marking options a chance. Stafford almost brought it to ground, wrapped up by McGregor, and a bounce.
But much better, straight up the corridor. There's your 2 big men. Tough to beat in the air. And I tell you what,
He was unlucky there.
very unlucky.
Coghlan tries to burst through. Fleming in there as well. Back to Coghlan. How good's he on the left? He bends it back. Not enough. Out of bounds on the full. Chance for the Crows to regroup. Stats, the numbers starting to go Richmond's way. They've worked hard all night. They're starting to see some results up forward. Latham short to Massey. Wants to switch play. Back to the defensive goal square and finds McGregor. He goes over the top to Bickley. Quiet night for him so far, just his 7th touch. Long around the wing. Holland punches away from Carey towards the line. Zantuck beats it there. Little give and go to Coghlan. Johnson under pressure. Tivendale in there working hard as well.
Gotta like the work of Ben Holland tonight. Got the big job on Wayne Carey. Carey coming off a very good game against Carlton last week. Benny Holland is certainly holding his own tonight.
Carey with 7 possessions, 2 marks. Bickley from the stoppage to Laddams. High ball. Otten's underneath it. Burton a fly almost. McGregor. McLeod in there. Gathers. Twists and turns. Looks up. Man in space is Welsh. Here's a chance for the Crows. He runs to 65. Puts it out in front of Johncock. Wants to twist and turn. Draws Chaffey to him. Handball over the top to Massey. Back to Johncock from a tight angle. Chaffey runs him down, holding the ball. Couple of vital tackles from Mark Chaffey in the third term. And the Tigers are gritting their teeth at the moment. Cameron, back to Chaffey. To Campbell. To Newman. They've grown in confidence. Back to Cameron. And they work it up the middle. Not the same pressure in the corridor as earlier in the game. Coughlin finds Ottens. Now they'll bomb it in long. Richardson and Smart. Bassett will fly back. Important fist in there. Brings it to ground. And the Crows are a chance through Edwards.
Yes, Tyson Edwards now in the back pocket. Heads to the opposite back pocket with the kick. Richardson's out there. Will it stay in? Stenglein over the line.
Again, the work rate from Richardson.
Tremendous. David Roden's the player for Richmond now. Maybe Cracker needs to come on the ground. They're getting not much at ground level. There's the tackle from Chaffey. That is inspirational stuff.
That is ruthless aggression, isn't it? Look at that. He took no prisoners there. Wonderful tackle. McLeod. Silky skills against the flow. Swings around. Outside 50. Laddams does well. Cleverly done. Then he's caught brilliantly, holding the ball.
Well-timed tackle. Got in between. Ball leaving the hand and ball hitting the boot.
Johnson does well here. Just pins the arms, brings him down, and Johnson goes long, and Bassett's having a big game. He is having a sensational game, and he goes into the back pocket for McGregor, who's having a good season. And McGregor goes 30 metres downfield to Laddams, and the crowd starts to get involved. They know Adelaide are in trouble here. His kick is pinpoint. This is Perry right in front of the members. He swings it to a more central location. This will be dangerous. It comes off, and Stenglein's got it. 6 minutes to go until three-quarter time. Carey has got free. He's 60 metres from goal. And Wayne Carey prodding it into the right forward pocket for Burton, and that's an easy one for him.
Once again, Richmond break down because their forward structure breaks down. Stafford moves out of the goal square. They're left with a small in the goal square. The Crows take the easy mark, and we've seen all night the transition play, moving from one end of the ground to the other. Richmond have to get their forward structure right. Stafford has to hold his ground, be the long option. It's hurting him too many times when they make the error. Brett Burton with a shot at goal. We've seen him kick one from a similar position tonight. Chance to get his second.
Carey creating, and Burton kicking now from about 30 metres, not this time. Not this time. That is anticlimactic, isn't it? There's such a big build-up. So Brett Burton well and truly off target there. There's Campbell preparing from the back pocket at about 60 metres, perhaps a shade less than that for Chaffey, who pumps it to Zantuck. Still the defensive 50 for Zantuck. Awkward one. It's going to come off though. Here's Tivendale quickly onto the boot, scrambling at about 25-30 metres forward. Coughlin needs to be accurate and is. Roden couldn't mark, bounced off his chest and then went in again, Shirley over the top of him. And the umpire to come over and bounce, 39-35, just under 5 minutes remaining. Let's head down to the boundary line. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
Right down here, guys, but Richmond's had a lot of play, and I think a lot of that's got to do with the breeze. It struck up quite considerably going to the Tigers' end. 1 to 2 goal advantage at this stage.
Richardson got it down and as far as Hart. It's going to come back in. Stafford. Handball, Andrew Callaway. We go inside 50 again. It's a 3-on-1. All Adelaide. Biglands takes the mark to Hart. Works it out wide to Perry. Goes towards Carey. Play on the call. Chance for the Tigers through Holland. Again, Richardson works hard. Takes it 70 metres from goal. Goes back and assesses the options. He's got Ottens at the top of the square. Other tall option is Stafford. Stafford beautifully picked off by Rashudo, who was looking for Coghlan. This could be a huge play. Rashudo to Stengline. The Crows are away. Burton and Chaffee. Burton have the advantage in the air. At ground level, Newman comes in to assist, and the Tigers hold it up. And it looked like the Crows were away.
Away they were, and again, Richmond just made the wrong choice with their forward entry. Brad Otten standing in the goal square screaming for the footy.
Stafford the tap, down to Campbell, put the head down, won the football, got it to the wing. Bitterscombe and Hart. The tempo's really lifted in this third term. It's up for grabs. Hart did well. Beat his man and got it to Laddams. To Massey. Can go long. Andrew Callaway will try to get back. Over the top, Johncock. Not quite. Andrew Callaway too slow. Pinged by Perry. Burton ducked ahead. Play on the call. Holland under pressure. Welsh tried to burst through. Andrew Callaway over the top of it. And it's a red-hot football at the moment.
Red-hot footy it is. The crowd go wild. They think Brett Burton should have got the free kick, but he ducked his head. And I think in a football sense, that is not a bad decision from the umpire. It was certainly high, but I think you give the umpire the benefit of the doubt on that occasion.
We know how dangerous the Crows are from stoppages. Prosciutto gets his hands on it. Callaway wasn't holding the man. Play on the call. Stafford in there. Tries to flip it to Roden. Edwards working hard. Welsh on the bottom of the pack. It comes to Bode. Keeps it in front of him. Campbell got boot to ball and scrambles it to defensive 50.
As you said, hot footy she is, and Richmond certainly holding their own. The Crows, the dominant team in the competition at ground level, with Shudo, Edwards and the like, dominant in that regard. But Richmond in this third quarter have taken it right up to them.
Campbell coming off with 2.5 minutes remaining in the third term. Stafford over the top of it, got the football. Hurried kick. Bitterscombe to Holland. Toe poke. Out towards Hyde. And he takes it to the boundary line, which is where we find Tiffany Cherry.
Wayne Campbell has just come off. He is absolutely exhausted, obviously not match fit, having not played the last 5 games.
So Roden off, Cracker on. Vital 2 minutes remaining in this third term. Tigers haven't really been in front all night. Next goal so crucial. They pile in again. No quarter asked or being given at the moment. There's Danny Frawley. He's back to the play. He's talking to his coaching staff. He's drumming the message into them for three-quarter time. That's the intensity. Stafford to Kane Johnson. Chips to Hyde. It was a well-weighted kick. Hyde took the mark. Chance for the Tigers to set up now. Tivendale's peeled off the pack. He takes the mark. Inside 50. The lead comes from Houlihan. Couldn't quite. Bassett, the toe poke to advantage. And maybe Adelaide are away. Burns and McLeod. There's a dangerous combination. McLeod lost his feet. Fleming in there. Bode to Johncock. To Rashudo. Not much to go to. Carey works hard. Tivendale committed himself. Carey beat them both. Inside 50. Biglands through his hands. Burton there as well. Got boot to ball, Burton. He bounces. It bounces. It bounces through for a goal. And that one hurts.
Do you know the joke about two guys walking into a bar? Well, this is the bar. And that's the two guys. She didn't realise it yet, but she's in a joke.
Brewery Fresh Carlton Draft. Draft beer at its best.
This game.
So Carey sets it up again. And the lead is out to 10 points. And we're under a minute to go until three-quarter time. Coghlan falls over, slips the hand pass. He tried to get it wide. Laddams gets it downfield. Chaffee in trouble. Johncock does well, kept his eye on the footy, needs to find a target. May well over the head of all at the back. Zantuck doesn't need to panic here, and he forces it through with a hand pass, and the margin is 11 points.
Frustrating times for Danny Frawley. Richmond with plenty of the footy, plenty of the ball inside 50, but crucial turnovers and breaks in discipline like going to ground have certainly cost them a couple of goals.
Tivendale just went 20 metres straight up the corridor. And this is Johnson. The margin is 11. Johnson now to the flank. Good thinking. Although in the end it worked out okay. Hyde. And then swings it down to the wing. Now a chance for the Tigers, although there is Rashudo. He's got a couple to beat. He's just keeping off them. And then he swings it about 25, 30 metres downfield. It was a pretty good kick in the end. Over the line. Umpire to toss it in. It won't matter. He doesn't need to do it because it's three-quarter time here at Amy Stadium. And this game is alive, no question about that. Wayne Carey set up a couple of beauties. But at three-quarter time, it is 6-10-46 Adelaide. Richmond 5-5-35. Richardson's been a factor. Brett Burton's been a factor. We've got a big last quarter coming up.
2 goals, 3 in that term from the Crows. 2 goals straight to the Tigers. Set for a blinder of a final term. It's the Crows by 11 points.
Want history-making drama? The Shield is cinematic, raw. You need help? Instantly gripping. Help me take down a dirty cop. The Shield is one extraordinary cop show. Golden Globe and Emmy Award winning. The critics raved about it, but you can see for yourself. It's fresh. If I come after you, it'll be straight on. The Shield premieres 9:30 Thursday on 10.
Bacon and egg McMuffin? I don't know, Reg. Hash brown? I just can't decide.
Selected breakfast items are now available all day at McDonald's.
I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure, eh?
When we first spoke on the phone, she was warm, friendly, she laughed at my jokes. It was a beautiful thing. We got along like a house on fire. Until what? Until the house caught on fire. And I rang her to make an insurance claim. Hello, Trust? Whatever happened to Trust?
Always look on the bright side of life.
Oh, no, your breath stinks, mate. There's only one thing in Duff Creek strong enough to drown out onion breath. Chew PK for longer lasting fresh breath.
LG Home Theatre. Surround sound that'll blow you away. LG. Life's good.
Come on, mate, focus. Push it harder.
Want to keep up your energy?
No pain, no gain.
Then keep up your hydration.
Come on, Gooey, keep going.
Only Powerade's unique balance of electrolytes and carbohydrates gives you that little bit extra.
Come on, Gooey. 50 to go, mate.
The Australian Wallabies, powered by Powerade.
Follow these signs at Truscott Hi-Fi and you'll save up to 40% on TVs, hi-fi components, speakers, hi-fi systems, DVD players, VCRs and cabinets. Up to 40% off. Truscott Hi-Fi City, open Sunday 11 till 5.
Graham's Jewelers half-yearly clearance sale. It's time to spoil the ones you love. Choose from spectacular diamond rings, beautiful yellow, rose or white gold bracelets and necklets, a superb selection of padlock bracelets, and a stunning range of earrings to go with any occasion. Spoil the ones you love during Graham's Jewelers half-yearly clearance sale.
Bacon and egg McMuffin? I don't know, Reg. Hash brown? I just can't decide.
Selected breakfast items are now available all day at McDonald's.
I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure, eh?
Three-quarter time at Amy Stadium, 11 points the margin. There's been very little in this one all night. 14 at quarter time, 8 at half time, and the Crows by 11 at three-quarter time. Ripping final term ahead of us. Both sides laying down the law, their coaches. We saw Danny Frawley late in that third term, Chris, just facing away from the play, getting ready for his pump up at three-quarter time. He brought the ball, the players in and really let rip.
Well, he had to let rip because they had so much of the foot, he just didn't use it properly.
And what was he saying? Let's head boundary side. Tiffany Cherry with Richmond legend Dale Waitman.
Dale, a fair spray by Danny. Then what was he saying to the players?
Yeah, look, he was happy with the intensity all over the ground, but there was one instance there, one of the players didn't actually hold the ball in, and then it cost us the game. And that's what it is. It's a game of inches, and everyone's got to be committed to the cause all the time.
The intensity you just touched on there is obviously very important. He's asking for a consistent effort across the four quarters.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Look, we've had ebbs and throws. That was probably a real good quarter for us. We just stuck at it. They kicked a lucky goal. We just need a couple of breaks to come our way, and we're in this with a big show.
It doesn't hurt to talk to the umpires either, does it, through the week? Rich showed there 2 free kicks and 2 of his 3 goals.
It would be nice. We wouldn't mind a couple more, though. I think we deserved a couple more. Hopefully we can get in this quarter.
Thanks, Al.
Good on you, Chip.
This is the sort of game Dale Waitman would have absolutely revelled in. Tight and tough, plenty on the line. Gary Ayres also bringing his troops in for a pretty intense session.
Yeah, certainly from frustration from both coaches. Danny Frawley obviously not happy at the 2 Richmond players going to ground. The stats are so even. As Dale Waitman said, it's a game of inches. You've got to take the opportunities when they present themselves. From Richmond, you've got to get the feeling, have had opportunities certainly to be in front at three-quarter time, haven't grabbed them.
Richmond had 5 more possessions in that quarter, 72 to 67, and went inside 50 12 times to 10. So in front of 44,809, enjoying a cracking game, 11 points the margin as we get set for the final term. It's been intense, tight and tough all night.
Brad Ottens goes to the goal square for Richmond. Stafford in ruck. Richardson at the top of the 50. Andrew McLeod will be a key player. Richmond need their small men. Houlihan, Roden, Cracker and Rogers to crumb. They need some goals out of them.
Here we go. It's the final term at Amy Stadium. Round 14. Adelaide by 11 points. Cameron dragged down by Bode. Socket off the ground by Hart. Burns beat Holland to the ball. Newman there in support. Carey kept it alive to Burns. Back to Carey. Somehow got it off his back. Keeps it alive for Johncock. Not quite. Timely fist from Coughlin. Chappie's been gallant, but it's going to come straight back at them. Rashudo has it 75 metres out from goal.
It's extraordinary from Carey.
First goal vital. Rashudo goes with the torp. Doesn't quite nail it. Bowden across the contest. Brought it to ground. Johncock emerges. Boot to ball to the goal square. And Newman has been important tonight. Done some good things down back. Goes short to Campbell. Had an extended three-quarter time break. As Tiffany mentioned, not a lot of petrol in the tank for Wayne Campbell. Hasn't played since the opening minutes of round 9. Johnson, good kick. And good strong hands from Stafford. As Dale Waitman mentioned at three-quarter time, Chris, this is a game of inches.
Certainly is, and big inches count in the last quarters. Stafford, Ottens and Richardson, they're providing the tall timber for Richmond. Just need to get the ball inside 50.
Coughlin just pops it up. Danger. It's 3-on-1, and at ground level it's Adelaide. Edwards, Perry, fierce tackle from Coughlin, holds it in, and that's a good result for the Tigers.
A couple of great efforts from Mark Coughlin too at the start of this quarter.
Here's Carey again. A handball from Burns hits him on the back, and somehow he grabs it.
That was just extraordinary, wasn't it? Here's an opportunity now for Fleming. And eventually the Tigers go forward. Bitterscombe out wide. Edwards, very good mark. Excellent mark against Cracker. Early stages, last quarter. Edwards spots a man who's loose. It's Hart, who's been playing on the wing here tonight. Downfield to within about 55. This is Bode. Turns his man inside out and then does well. And then gets it to Carey. Wouldn't they love this? Wouldn't they love this? Don't they love that?
You know, I reckon you can tell it's the most powerful ute they've ever made just by looking at it. Yeah. We should take him for a run on the Salt Lake.
The new 260 kilowatt Falcon Ute. It's unbelievably powerful.
Champions kick those. Carey steps up, puts the Crows 17 points in front. Johnson wrapped up by Shirley. We'll go again.
Great effort from Wayne Carey, but Kane Johnson, tired or not, has got to hold his feet on occasions like that. You've only got to corral the player, make them kick the ball over you. Crucial mistakes cost you games of football. That one will hurt Richmond.
Stafford to open space, but it's all Adelaide. Massive fumble, that was all Cracker needed. He swooped. Edwards. Rashudo tries to crash through. Edwards in tight. Shirley. Great tackle. Cracker just hurled himself at him. And held it in for the Tigers. At him. And held it in for the Tigers. We head boundary side. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
Just keep your eye on it, Joel Bowden. The Dockers run out to him twice. He's looks like he's received a cork thigh in his right leg, and they're just going to try and run it out.
Bounce favoured Cracker to Bitterscombe. Inside 50, Richardson sits off Smart, elects to play on, out of the corner of his eye, spots a man, and that man is Rogers. Crowd not happy, but in that situation, when the bounce is an absolute shocker, the correct call from the umpire is play on, and that's what he did on that occasion.
Yes, the beauty of the game, the bounce of the ball. Matthew Richardson, as he has done all night, presented himself well up forward, does the unselfish thing, puts his teammate in a great position to kick a goal.
Huge kick for Matthew Rogers. He's 1-1 from these tonight. Needs to go back and slot this. 20 metres out. Say no more.
Well, they will rue missed opportunities tonight. Decision-making and foot skills have cost them a game of footy that they needed to win.
Edwards to Smart. Richardson flashed across the screen and did enough to keep it in. Just keep it in Richmond's attacking zone. They get the next one, they're back within 10 points. They've pressed hard all night, they've given it everything, and there's plenty more to come.
There's the throw in. Coughlin went without it. A lot of Crows around there. One of them is Smart, the veteran, to another veteran and the skipper, and that's Rashudo. Stengline somehow through the traffic. Went past Bode. Tivendale swings it around to within about 60 for the Tigers, but Smart bangs it back toward the wing. Adelaide down on the wing now. Massey needs to pick up, does, gets the hand pass to Carey. Geez, being creative, isn't he? That's a beautiful kick by the King. He is playing very well, Wayne Carey. He's kicked one goal and he's played a hand in about 2 or 3 others, and Perry's got the footy. He's smack bang in front. He'll kick from around about 50 metres.
Matthew Rogers off. Threw away the mouthguard in disgust.
So this is a big kick, isn't it? 16 is the margin. We're getting a beautiful view. We're riding it with Perry. Left foot kick. Have a look at that. It is swinging to the right-hand side and it hits the post. It's a poster about 3/4 the way up. The margin is 17 points.
Well, and they're certainly still well and truly in this game. As Dale Waitman said, at 3/4 time, it is a game of inches. Richmond not capitalising on the opportunities they've got, but a 3-goal game can turn around in a matter of moments.
No with the kick in. Much better option than Zantuck in that capacity. To Fleming. To Cameron. Here's a chance for the Tigers. To Johnson. Can thump it long. Bassett's been wonderful. Look at that handball. For 25 metres to Carey, who's standing up when his side needs him most. Johnson corrals him, but Carey still finds an option. It's Burns. Thought about the handball to Rashudo. Draws the man. Wants to go himself. Chaffee, another lunging tackle. Biglands. To Rashudo. To Shirley. Ducks and weaves. Spots a man in the pocket and hits Bode. Well, here's a left footer, Matthew Bode. Tough pocket to kick goals from here at Amy Stadium. He acknowledges that and goes short to Rashudo.
Just too loose from Richmond. Just, you cannot concede a player of Mark Rashudo any ground at all. Gave him a couple of metres and that's enough. The Crows will always chip short to a player in a better spot. And Mark Rashudo from the 50-metre arc, distance not a problem. He's had a great afternoon, great evening, 25 disposals, had plenty of the ball. And this is a captain's goal. Richmond missed an opportunity at one end. Now the skipper with a real chance to punish them again on the scoreboard.
And Carey with 5 possessions in this quarter.
So Mark Rashudo, the skipper, up he steps. to the 50, launches it, gives it plenty. It's bending, but it's home.
Telstra has a new easy way of getting messages on your home phone, and it's completely free. It's called Telstra Home Messages 101. It takes messages when you're away from the phone, even when you're on the phone or internet. To turn it on, just dial 101. You know, it's great doing television without having to do a gag.
Telstra Home Messages 101. It's free to turn on and free to use. Dial 101 from home to turn it on.
Rashudo steps up and delivers. The Tigers have missed some kickable goals. I think back to Tivendale hitting the post. Rogers has missed a couple. Richardson missed one.
I can't remember Rashudo missing a set shot this year. I know the club think very highly of him in that situation, and obviously very highly of him as a skipper as well. Here's Richmond going into attack. Richardson into the forward pocket. He and Smart chase. Smart does well. Just some controlled haste there, and that by Bassett was probably the only mistake he's made for the night. Otten's just getting a hand to it, forcing it through. Rashudo with the footy, the skipper of the Adelaide Football Club, out to Laddams. Speaking of goal kickers, doesn't he love kicking goals from awkward positions too? Downfield, that's a beautiful kick. Strong grab too by Biglands, the giant ruckman for Adelaide. Time clock ticking. Downfield toward right half forward. Carey forced to work to the back. Holland was the man in front. Chaffee on his side. And it's been a long time between drinks for Richmond.
Gee, Holland did well then. If that ball had spilled to the back of the contest, the Crows are away.
Did it well to keep the ball in front.
Danny Frawley watching on. Andrew McLeod just juggling, working, doing well, getting the hand pass to John Cock, another very skillful player. Shirley trying to get through the traffic. He ran smack bang into Johnson. Eventually the Tigers come away with it. Chaffee, hand pass is okay, so a bit of a chance here for them. Here's Cameron taking a bounce, running to 60, chipping to 50. That's good footy by the Tigers. And all of a sudden they've got a chance here. Adam Houlihan plays on, gets around the oncoming Crow and has a shot and misses. And if you're a Tiger fan, you'd be frustrated, as the Tiger players and their coaches would be here tonight at Amy Stadium. 59-38, 8-11 to 5-8.
They've just got to keep persisting, Richmond. They've done it all night.
Well, they do, and with only 21 points, the difference, the door is still open. The game is far from over.
They're still getting the chances, aren't they? They're still creating the scoring opportunities. They've just got to start nailing them.
Still feel like they've got to get Stafford inside 50, that extra tall target, get Ottens on the ball. Just their makeup doesn't quite look right at the moment.
Laddams to Edwards, outside defensive 50. To open space, Cameron will be the first man there. We'll just keep it alive. McGregor closes. Cameron has Stafford in support. He's got some problems now. It's gathered by Massey. Burns. McGregor through the hands. Cameron to close him down. Did well. McGregor lifted the arms, got the hands free. Couldn't keep it alive. Just under 11 minutes remaining. There's Chris Hyde on the boundary line. The Tigers trail by 21 points. Biglands and Stafford. Stafford the backhander. Bowe to run onto it. Danger. Here's Ronnie Burns. He runs to 40. Can he thread the needle? Rock and Ronnie! Sure can.
Stock up with Bundaberg Rum and Smirnoff Vodka, any two for $48.99. Or grab a carton of Carlton Cold Stubbies, only $28.99. Renmano 4-litre casks, only $11.99 each for Pressings, Semillon Sauvignon Blanc or Cabernet Merlot. And pick up 12-year-old Glenfiddich Malt Whisky, $39.99 each.
Not looking good for the Tigers now. 9-11 to 5-8. 14 goals for Ronnie Burns for the season. Biglands up in ruck for Adelaide. Shirley for Adelaide as well. Rashudo, their captain, working through off the side of the boot, out very wide. Foot race now. Bitterscombe, beautifully smothered. That was good footy, wasn't it, by Massey? And then Massey sends it down toward left half forward. He had 2-3 bites at it then, Carey. Couldn't quite bring it down. Newman does well, and then gets it back, and then left foots it. Got it from Coghlan. Ill-directed, though. They'll go back in again, Adelaide, because Biglands has got it. To Bode. McGregor. Half-back. Now down to the wing. Stenglein. Bang on 10 minutes remaining. Stenglein, beautiful kick. Perry, good mark, good hands, good footy.
And 50. No. That close.
So Perry, taken from the ground earlier. Kellaway did a good job on him. He's come back on. It was a good, strong grab. It was good footy. Welsh coming on for John Cock. What a year and a bit he's had, John Cock. What a wonderful, wonderful player. New to the game last year. Anyway, we're with Perry right now, right on 50, gets close to the man on the mark, and then swings it way, way, way to the right, out of bounds on the full.
Crows certainly a very fit side. They'll back themselves right to the end. Run hard all night. Richmond, I guess their fitness may be questioned. They don't tend to finish games off well, certainly under the pump late in this game.
Zantuck, well, question of why foot. Good mark by Coghlan, made it good. That defensive 40.
And a couple of nice things in the last quarter, hasn't he? When he's had to stand under the footy, his courage is never questioned.
He's a class act. Will be an elite midfielder of the competition over the next decade. Goes to Richardson again, gets the football at half back. Just runs himself into the ground, Matthew Richardson. Goes long. Oh, spectacular. Tyson Edwards. Such a good third man up, if I can put it in those terms. Just sits off contests, picks them off, much like Montgomery does for Port Adelaide. Prosciutto back to Edwards, and now to Bode. Steps inside his man and finds Stenglein. Handball to Laddams. To half forward. Will spill to the back of the contest. Andrew Kellaway trudges after it. Carey approaches him, meets him square on, and sits him down.
There's been some great signs for Wayne Carey, the Adelaide Footy Club, their hierarchy, their coaching staff would be very, very pleased with the way things are going in that direction.
He's moved as well as I've seen him all year, and he's stretched himself. Chris, I think for the first time this year I've seen him really find fifth gear.
Yeah, absolutely, and on a dry track, good to see him running on top of the ground. Andrew McLeod had an interesting duel tonight. Plenty happening off the ball all night. And
Fleming's got that one. Well, he loves it, doesn't he? He's an old-style tagger. They gave him Stephen Zilla's number, and he's much in that same mould. Just loves the niggle. But, really, Fleming to Tivendale. Hard run from Andrew Kellaway. Perry gets there to force a contest. Strong hands from Kellaway. Mark paid. Tigers need something special. They trail by 5 goals. They've committed themselves all night. Frustratingly for them, it's been their execution. They've set up the chances, just haven't finished their work. Kellaway bombs it high inside 50. Again, Coghlan stands under it. Edwards to tidy up at ground level. Bode actually jumps on him and tackles him to hold it in.
Been very good tonight, Tyson Edwards. What a luxury it is for a football team to be able to have him sweeping across half-back, playing out of a back pocket. 22 disposals, having one of his best years at the Adelaide Footy Club.
Prosciutto's had 28, Laddams 24. Here's Coghlan again. McLeod's got one arm, managed to get the other one free. Tivendale missed the body of Hyde. He's got some time. Goes backward to Ben Holland. Goes inside 50. And Zantuck landed awkwardly. He took the mark. Almost had the legs taken out of him in mid-air. Prosciutto just knocked him off balance as he landed. That didn't look too good for the right knee or ankle. The medical staff are into him now. Let's take another look.
I think it's the right ankle by the looks there. Fell very awkwardly. He's on his feet now, though, which is a good sign. Looks a little bit proppy.
Bowden wanted to play on. Umpire had called time off, so we'll come back to Joel Bowden. Zantuck hobbles to the bench. Matthew Rogers will be his replacement. The ball's with Bowden. Goes towards the top of the square. Plenty of players around this one. Off the chest of Richardson. Johnson fumble. Edwards wrapped him up. Ball up 40 metres out from Richmond's goal.
Just haven't been able to pinch a big mark from Stafford or Otten's inside 50 at the top of the square. Richardson's taken a couple. Not too much from Otten's.
Johnson took one then, on the side of the head. Laddams to open space. McLeod.
Oh,
great hip and shoulder from Hart. They gave it up. Fiddiscombe to the top of the square. And Nathan Bassett. 22 possessions, 10 marks for him tonight, equaling his all-time best. To Massey. Handball to Stenglein. Dribbles it towards Carey. It's a 2-on-1 Richmond's favour. Numbers went out. Campbell can pump it forward to Bowden. Can look up inside 50. Couple of options. One was at the top of the square and the other was short. He went short and found Houlihan. Goes over the top to Tivendale, who ran on, and he'll go back and kick for goal from about 20 metres out.
Ooh, they get the desired result. It was Stafford at the top of the square, 30 metres clear, but the result is the same. And this kick just edges them a little closer, brings them under 4 goals. Still plenty of time. They just need back-to-back goals.
Campbell off, Cameron on. So Tivendale to bring them back within 21 points with 5 minutes remaining. He guides it through.
All the action is at Sky City Adelaide this month, with over 30 grand in cash and prizes to be won.
So a bit of drama here now. 21 is the margin, and around 5 minutes remaining. So Adelaide aren't safe. Stenglein tried to work the hand pass. Eventually the kick comes wide. It'll be a foot race. Out on the logo. Shirley's there. Well done, though, by Johnson. Did very well to Bowden. Bowden's kick not all that good, but it found Coghlan. Coghlan 60 metres out. Long hand pass. He's got a man. It's Bowden who's run on into the forward pocket. Well done, Massey, though. Good stuff. He backed himself. Then he lost it. Then he had some time, and then he gave it to Burton by hand. And Burton's given it up, though, because the Tigers are right here on the wing. And this is Hyde. Hyde runs past the wing and then floats it inside 50. They need a mark. And there's some pushing and shoving off the footy. Richardson's got the footy at the moment.
Perry put Fleming down, and it'll be a Callaway comes in to remonstrate, and this one's a bit willing.
Change it back. They've given the ball to the Crows for the second offence. Richmond had the ball inside 50.
Now it is willing. They're in on top of it. Fleming wants to go on with it. Perry was heated as well. And that's just a cardinal sin for the Tigers. They had the free kick their way. Fleming being taken straight to the boundary. He's off. Cracker on.
Oh, dear.
And look at Danny Frawley.
Dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
They had the ball at 50 going forward. And now the opportunity goes begging.
So Perry just places it nicely downfield. And this is Laddams. Oh, there's Fleming, and I wonder who he's on the phone to. I wonder. And there's the kick to within about 75 for Bickley, for Edwards. Edwards to within 45, and Bigland's has taken a very big mark. And how the game can change and ebb and flow. And Welsh is offering a lead. So Bigland's about 65 metres from goal. He's on the flank. He's on the western side of Football Park. And there he goes from 50. Long kick, but it is offline to the right-hand side. It's a behind. So plenty of drama. Time running out for the Tigers.
If it leaves commentators speechless, it has to leave the coach speechless. That is absolutely unforgivable. We've seen it happen on more than one occasion tonight, but a critical time of the game to make a breach of discipline like that. We speak about leadership at a club. That is a problem.
Richmond need the Hail Mary play, straight up the middle. Rogers. Numbers in the corridor for the Tigers, just got to get it and go. They do. Holland to Tivendale. Tivendale will go towards Richardson at 50. Got one hand to it. Still alive. Smart slaps it away. Dragicevic almost had it, took the eyes off it and lost it. It's head boundary side. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
Good news for the Tigers. Zantuck's knee and ankle have been cleared, so he will be right to come on if they want.
Looked awkward, looked nasty when he did it, so it is good news for the Tigers. What's been a fairly frustrating night in most other categories. Coughlin, again, in the heat of battle. Burton got boot to it. Still open space for Hyde. Handball. Back to Cameron. That's been the frustration. They've controlled the play for so much of this game. Ottens wants someone to come at him.
Oh, no.
Handball. Bitterscombe to Cameron. Across the ground to a 2-on-1. And the one wins. And it would really rub salt into the wound if they can goal from this. Welsh to Tawney. First touch for the night for Jason Tawney against his old side. Bassett, handball to Bickley from 40 to put the icing on the cake. That rubs salt into the wound.
Queen Bed, bedside chest, only $3.99. Look on you. Fantastic queen size sleigh bed, only $5.99. Look on you. Modern 4-piece package, $8.99. Look on you.
Tired of pizzas with hard and edible crusts? Right now, with every stuffed crust order, we'll give you a box of cinnamon fingers absolutely free. A box of cinnamon fingers? Sweet stuff.
And have paid the ultimate price.
Well, they're home now, Adelaide, but it's been a long road, and it's been a bumpy one for them as well. But in front of 44,000, they'll get over the Tigers, who have been plucky. They've been tough.
But have they? I mean, they have and they haven't. You can't do part of the game right and not do the basics and the discipline things right. If there's breaches of discipline in a club, there's a major problem. Richmond have been their own worst enemy tonight.
At one stage, they were just 4 points down, and now the margin is out to 28 points with around 1:40 remaining. Adelaide about to head forward. Bode just left foots it out to Biglands, who had a shot about 3 minutes ago. Biglands pokes it into the pocket, looking for Welsh. Newman sizing up the situation, doesn't dare look at the scoreboard. And now Rogers goes wide. That's a good mark to Kellaway. He's had a very good game. Off to Tivendale. Those two working well. And then Tivendale goes long. And he's found his teammate. And that was Ottens. On they go. And now Cracker caught inside his attacking 50. Bickley there. Bassett, who's been a real nuisance for them in defence. And we're right on a minute now. It's 72-44. And Adelaide, well, they're pushing. They're consolidating their top 4 spot, but they're pushing for a top 2 spot. And we're just over halfway through the season, and it's looking good for them at the moment. Stenglein working hard. So too is Cracker. Eventually Laddams comes away. Caught in a tackle, got it across to Bickley. Former skipper Tyson Edwards with plenty of time. Look at that. No player within cooey of him. Goes out wide. And this is Laddams.
What's got to please Gary Ayres is it hasn't been pretty from Adelaide tonight. They've had a worthy opponent, but they've ground out a good win. That's got to be pleasing.
Burton the target. Up. Can't mark. Does well, though. Gets it onto McGregor. And McGregor scrambles it 20 metres downfield. 10, 9, 8 seconds remaining until the completion of this game. Here's Roden ducking, dodging, weaving. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Bowden with the last kick of the game. That's it. That's all they wrote. Gary Ayres would be pleased with the 4 points. But it was tough for them. Carey has been very, very good. Very creative. Good signs there. Bassett, an outstanding game. Richardson played very well as well for the Tigers. And there's the former Crow, who's with the Tigers now, Kane Johnson, who came over yesterday, shaking the hand of Red Biglands. And Wayne Carey heads off to do likewise with his teammates and the opposition. Nigel Smart, one of the veterans, having a good game. And Brett Burton, who we know can take a spectacular mark, just saying to Kane, I remember you. I remember when you played for Adelaide. I'm still your mate, but not when you play for the Tigers.
Well, I think the game will be remembered. The one that Richmond lost, Adelaide grind out a pretty tough and hard-fought win in the end here at Amy Stadium. but the frustrations and headaches continue for Danny Frawley and Richmond fans. Not too many questions answered to them tonight. They lose their 6th in a row. Their dismal travelling record continues. The captain's back, but unfortunately the problems still remain for Richmond.
Troy Gray downstairs with the veteran Nigel Smart.
A few deep breaths there, mate. It must have been a big challenge. Richo, his endurance we all know is great, so it was a fantastic game by you on him tonight.
Look, he's a great player, and he had a fair bit of the ball tonight, like he took plenty of marks, but they weren't in dangerous positions, so he still kicked a few goals. Low scoring game today, on a really nice night, so there's plenty of improvement in our side.
It's just on that, perfect conditions for a game of footy, and it was an ugly game, but sometimes they're the ones that are hard to win.
Yeah, it was. We were probably playing too short, being a bit too short, being a bit too cute with it in the first half, and it really cost us. It slowed down our whole game, and in the second half we tried to kick it longer to a few forwards, and look, the game opened up a little bit then, and we kicked away.
Most people had you in the 4 at the start of the year. Now are you aiming for something high, perhaps a top 1 or 2 finish?
Oh, look, we'll take it week by week. I know it's a cliche, but we've got Essendon next week. They had a fantastic win. And look, the battle for the top 4 is really on, so it's going to be a tough fight over the next 8 rounds.
Well, you take a win when they come your way. Congratulations and well done tonight.
Thank you very much.
Nigel Smart there had the job on Matthew Richardson. Matthew Richardson just covers an extraordinary amount of ground, as Nigel mentioned. Finished with 16 possessions, 10 marks, Richardson. 7 of those touches came inside 50, so more than half his football tonight was up outside the forward 50.
Yeah, sort of probably ended up with a better of that duel. Nigel Smart standard tremendously well in the first quarter, but probably Richardson was certainly dangerous all night. And the only one of Richmond's big men to have a real influence on the game, Stafford and Ottens, just not doing enough in critical positions on the ground.
Disappointment for the Tigers, their lowest score of the year, 6-8-44. And they had their chances. 14 scoring shots to 22. Doesn't really tell the story because Adelaide piled it on late. Inside 50s, 47-42 in favour of Adelaide. That's probably a better stat. Just goes to show the ball was at both ends of the ground almost at the same amount of time.
No question. The way that Richmond moved the ball forward and what they did with the ball inside 50 was a big disappointment, as I've said on previous occasions. They're breaches of discipline. When they're in that little room that you go into after the game and the coach tells you about the game and what cost you, there are going to be some ears burning because there were some really worrying signs for Danny Frawley there.
Mentioned the inside 50s, 47-42, not much in those. Yet when you look at the possessions inside that forward 50, Adelaide had 50% more than Richmond. That pretty much sums it up.
Sure does. You know, Richmond went wide and they just couldn't hold the ball in the area. We saw how desperate the Crows fought for possession when the ball went inside 50. Brett Burton's tackle, you know, it's got to stick in your mind that resulted in a goal for the Crows. The little men working very well at ground level and certainly pushing. You know, the amount of room they gave Rashudo and Laddams all night. I mean, they hardly had an opponent, getting far too much uncontested possession. Some worrying signs and some good signs for Richmond. Really frustrating for Danny Frawley, no doubt.
And Matty Bode, good signs for him, 14 touches tonight.
Yeah, certainly good signs. Spent a little bit of time on the bench as well. But look, he's a great player, an integral part of their 22. You know, they had the luxury of putting him in the SANFL last week, but he is a key player coming into this second part of the season.
Gee, they'd have to be delighted with Wayne Carey, wouldn't they?
Yeah, again, to back up after the Carlton game last week was important for them. One game's easy, but to play good games back-to-back. I thought Benny Holland was pretty good on him in the first half, but the way Carey moved in the game in the second half in his last quarter, brilliant. Value for touches. That's got to be a happy room.
Pretty low-key in the Adelaide rooms. It was a grinding win. They led at every change, 14 points at quarter time, 8 at half-time, 11 at three-quarter time, before adding 4 goals to 1 in the final term to run out 28-point winners and improve their record in 2003 to 9 wins and 5 losses.
Only $1.45. Look on you.
You know, I reckon you can tell it's the most powerful ute they've ever made. just by looking at them. Yeah. I think we should take them for a run on the Salt Lake.
The new 260 kilowatt Falcon Ute. It's unbelievably powerful.
What's the secret recipe for a great time? Start with 10 pieces of KFC's famous chicken. Then add a large serving of mashies with heaps of chips, potato and gravy, and 4 corn cob heads.
Every time we share the secret.
KFC's Secret Recipe Celebration Pack. It's a secret worth sharing.
Follow these signs at Truscott Hi-Fi and you'll save up to 40% on TVs, hi-fi components, speakers, hi-fi systems, DVD players, VCRs and cabinets. Up to 40% off. Truscott Hi-Fi City. Open Sunday 11 till 5.
And the mustard, thanks.
Sure. Like that cut in half, love?
Yeah.
New Keen's mustard and ham flavoured chips from Smith's.
Queen bed, bedside chest, only $3.99. Look on you.
Explosive, dynamic, unstoppable. Adelaide's Andrew McLeod. Medals of Honour commemorates Adelaide's decorated champion and celebrates his triumphs. Each action print is individually signed by Andrew. Strictly limited to 250 units. You can own yours framed for $495 or unframed for $395 plus postage and handling. Call 1-800-232-582 now to order your tribute to a Crows champion.
I took a vow of poverty, of chastity, and of humility. They didn't mention anything about Jarrah Chocolate. Every woman craves, every day. Jarrah, 99% fat-free.
Store-wide catalogue out now with 2 years interest free and no deposit. Look on you.
You're watching the Ford 5th quarter.
Full time at Amy Stadium. It was a tough slog all night. The Adelaide Crows led at every change. 14 at quarter time, 8 at half time, 11 at three-quarter time before adding 4 goals 2 to 1 goal 3 in the final term to run out 28-point winners, 10-12-72. Richmond 6-8-44. The Crows moving their record to 9 wins and 5 losses in season 2003 in front of 44,809. As we head down to the winners' rooms, Coach Gary Ayres gives us his time. Gary, thanks for your time this evening. Must say that off the back of the song there, the overwhelming emotion seemed to be relief from the players.
Yeah, I think it was, Jace. Look, she was a hard night at the office. The way Richmond had been playing, they were obviously going to be pretty desperate, so there really was certainly just a genuine relief, and 4 points now tucked in the bank, thankfully.
Gary, you normally keep your forward movement pretty simple, getting the ball up and down the corridor. Tonight, especially in the first half, a lot of footy went wide into the 50.
Yeah, I think that was partly due to the amount of numbers that Richmond were getting back there, Chris, and obviously what you try and do as a forward is you lead the space, and of course the space tends to be out wide, so, but I thought we didn't really play very smart footy, a bit of a contradiction to how well we played in the wet last week. And again, I think it was more brought about by the fact that they were pushing the Campbells, who was off the wing back there. They had Stafford, Nottens pushing back there, Callaway, Chaffey, they tend to sag off. And what we probably tried to do was really try and play perfect footy when the decision was really just to probably go to the top of the square and play more percentage style of footy.
Looked to be a frustrating night for Danny Frawley in the coach's box, was tearing his hair out on a number of occasions. Was it frustrating for you as well at times? It was just that style of game, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh, look, it was terribly frustrating because I reckon we probably gave them at least 3 goals on the night when really in a close scoring game and a tight game they were going to be pretty vital, and of course a couple went out in the fall, and that ability to take the ball out of the ruck, they were red hot on that, and of course we gave Richmond an easy goal. So it was really a case of just making sure that we persevered even though we weren't playing well, and that's probably on a positive a good sign that you don't play as well but you actually win a game.
Beauty of the team too, Gary, is the fact that you're not relying on the same players week in, week out to win your games of footy. Last week, John Cock, Carey, McLeod this week, you know, Rashudo, fantastic, Laddams with plenty of the footy, and Bassett and Edwards in the back half. So different names each week contributing to the win.
Oh, you're spot on there, Chris, and I think that's always going to be important. If you want to be an improving side, you've really got to keep sharing the load, and even you can get someone like Ronnie Burns come off the fence and kick a pretty timely goal in that last quarter. Again, I think it's indicative of that even spread of contributors that we're trying to get right across the board.
Footy's a frustrating game at times, Gary, as we've mentioned, and it's been a particularly frustrating year for you guys with so many injuries. On a percentage scale, I guess, between 1 and 100, whereabouts do you feel the team's at the moment?
Oh, I probably don't like to put figures on it in relation to percentages, but what I probably would say is that we're 1 game down on where I actually think we should be as far as wins and losses go. You know, we let that one to Collingwood slip here, and probably even if you had a better situation, you shouldn't have dropped that one to St Kilda and even Hawthorn for that matter. But I probably think if you had to set after 14 rounds, what should you generally be, I think we should be really 10 wins and 4 losses.
So sitting at 9 and 5, it's a pretty brutal run home when you look at it. You've got Essendon next week here at Amy Stadium, Fremantle at Subi, St Kilda here, Sydney here, West Coast at Subi, Collingwood, the Roos and Port. So pretty much playing contenders the whole run home.
Oh yeah, but again, if we want to be a side that wants to challenge for a top 4, well, that's the draw we've got, and of course we're not going to change that. So what we have to maintain is that the ability to take the challenge on every week, and this was another challenge out there tonight in relation to Richmond being where they were. They'd lost 5 in a row. Their probably season was really on the line tonight, and we got over that, so that I'm thankful for. But again, it's going to be Essendon here next Friday night, as you mentioned, and they're going to be pretty confident because of the fact that they got over St Kilda pretty easily on Friday night.
What's the one area of the Adelaide Crows game that needs to improve between now and September?
Oh, look, I think if you had said where would we be wanting to be in relation to skills and style of play, I think it's okay. I really think, though, tonight we didn't adjust to making the correct decisions when we had that really flow of play. We tended to be rather stop-start and tried to be too cute, so we just got to play percentage footy, I think, and that always matters the most in finals.
And Gary, a player who probably helps that is Mark Stevens. Must be frustrating for you not to be able to get him on the park. How far away is he?
He should be right next week, Chris, and obviously the other one that's waiting in the wings over the next 3 weeks will be Simon Goodwin. So there's 2 very capable players, which when we get them back, they'll certainly strengthen our 22.
Well, a 28-point win, Gary. Sees you to 9 and 5. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Gary Ayres joining us there in the winners' rooms. Was a slog, as he mentioned. Not all the games can be fast and pretty and you play your best football, but you've got to be able to take all comers, and they did that tonight, the Adelaide Crows. As we look at the goal kickers, 2 each to Welsh and Burton. The pieces of the puzzle up forward just continue to fall into place. Wayne Carey, just the 1 goal, but again, looked ominous.
Yeah, he certainly did. And again, the great thing for Wayne Carey and the Crows is that he's moving well. He's getting to contest. He finished the game off well, and he does bring those other players into the game. And yeah, a good mix and a good sprinkling of players contributing in their forward line.
It was Adelaide's lowest winning score for the season and Richmond's lowest score for the season, full stop. Conditions here at Football Park tonight were pretty good. There was a slight breeze in the second half, but not much to speak of. There was no rain. It was just a tough defensive slog.
Certainly wasn't, as Gary said. You know, a lot of defensive work, players pushing into the back half, making it difficult to get easy avenues to goal. Created some frustration for both coaches, spectators and commentators alike. The Crows on that occasion, Scotty Welsh had an up and down season with injury, but he's an important part too. Not only does he kick goals, but he works so hard inside 50 to tackle, hold the ball in the area, as the Crows did all night. Their defensive work inside 50, very good.
If you ignored the scoring patterns of the game, just the general play and the amount of flow that each side had, it was roughly break even, wasn't it? The Crows did bust it open late with a few late goals, but essentially the story of the night comes down to both sides having chances and Adelaide just converting theirs better.
And so many times we saw it and we called it during the game, Richmond making the error, bang, the Crows on transition play, kicking the goal, just hurting them, and a 2-goal turnaround. Richmond would be pulling their hair out in the room, unable to make the most of opportunities. You've got to do that in games of footy, and especially here at Amy Stadium. You must make the Crows pay on the scoreboard.
Another cameo from Ronnie Burns tonight, just bobbed up, did a couple of things. Nathan Bassett, personal best, 23 possessions, 10 marks. As you mentioned to Gary Ayres, it's a really pleasing factor for Adelaide fans that it's different names that bob up every week, and that's what happens in premiership sides. This bloke for the Tigers tonight worked his guts out.
He certainly did. I thought he was in trouble early. Nigel Smart was tremendous in the first quarter, pushed him wide and pushed him outside 50. But he just presented and worked so well. Nigel Smart lost him on that occasion. He kicked the important goal. His goal kicking was good. He was their only big man that provided a real target for them all night. I thought his leadership was great in a team that's really struggling for leadership at the moment.
Matthew Richardson, such an amazing talent. I bumped into him during the week and I mentioned to him all the discussion that had been about where he was playing and should he play up the ground a little bit more. But as we saw tonight, he really does cover an amazing amount of territory, as did this man tonight. Wayne Carey moved as well as I've seen him in a long time.
Certainly did, left or right. Crucial play here, though. Both Richmond players go into ground just before three-quarter time. There's a kick in it. Wayne Carey holds his ground, kicks to the top of the square. A goal results. Again, occasion two, both players go to ground. Carey holds the feet, finds the player. The Crows kick the goal. 2-goal turnaround, and that was the story of the night for Richmond. And they had a chance, they couldn't nail them.
Leaders like Wayne Carey, Stephen Kernahan, Dermot Brereton, that style of player, I presume Royce Hart going back 30 years. You don't measure their value on numbers alone. You don't measure on how many possessions they have, how many goals they kick. It's just the ability to do the right thing at the right time.
Some players have a presence on the ground. Wayne Carey has that, and you can't manufacture that by it. It is a gift. He has got a gift, and the Adelaide Footy Club are pretty happy to have him at their disposal. You know, he's been harshly dealt with, I think, in the media in the first part of the year. He was always going to be a better player in the second part, and what we saw tonight would put a smile on a lot of Adelaide people's faces.
Start of the season, I figured if Adelaide could get somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 15 games out of Wayne Carey, that would be a good result for them, and he's on track to do that. And if he can deliver, say, 12 to 15 games, well, he's going to be very, very important in the run of September.
I think in the scheme of things, he's exactly where he'd want to be. You know, he hasn't played too many aces yet, got plenty up his sleeve. Look at the Richmond room, says it all.
Well, where are the Tigers at, Chris? Let's put it to you. They were 6-2 after round 8, sitting in third position. They've lost their last 6. Now, Richmond fans at home tonight would be frustrated. They'd be throwing things at the TV, but not because they had a lack of endeavour tonight, but they were just their own worst enemy.
Well, you made me be quiet in the pre-match, but if you wind the clock back 12 months, they lost 9 in a row at the very similar time in the season. They were 4-4, going okay. Next minute, they're 4-13. There is a major cultural problem. That is not about ability, because surely when you get to a certain stage, you can manufacture a win. The problem with Richmond, they cannot manufacture a win out of nowhere, and that is a culture problem at the footy club that has to be addressed, and addressed pretty soon.
It's not fitness.
No.
It's not desire, I don't think, looking at them tonight. It was execution.
It is, yeah, but that comes back to culture and discipline, and their breaches in discipline tonight were atrocious, and that is a cultural thing, and that's got to be, I mean, you're talking grassroots stuff at a footy club that really needs to be addressed, and, you know, that's a real big problem for Danny Frawley to address.
Let's crunch these numbers. Nothing in the kicks. Richmond had more marks, particularly chipped it around behind the centre, which inflated those numbers. Adelaide all night had more handball receives. They linked and ran better than the Tigers did.
And probably do more than any other team in the comp.
Contested possessions, well, we know Adelaide are number 1 in the competition in that area of the game. They didn't really get to dominate clearances. They were 30-28 at the end of the night in clearances. Marks inside 50, nothing in it. Even the inside 50s, as we've mentioned, 47-42. So a handful of inside 50s, most of which the Adelaide Crows racked up late in the game. But as I mentioned, the Crows had 50% more possessions once the ball went inside the forward 50.
Yeah, the numbers are very close. What it doesn't show are errors. And I think Richmond would have the numbers in that regard, because they made far too many tonight and got hurt on the scoreboard.
Individually, let's take a look at the numbers. Mark Rasciuto, another great game, leading from the front tonight. Got down and dirty.
As he always does, was brilliant tonight. Got a lot of footy in the back half, got a lot of uncontested football as well. But, you know, last quarter, captain steps up, outside 50, has to kick the goal that Rogers doesn't kick at the other end. Nails it. A great captain's game from Mark Rasciuto. Got to be happy with that.
Saw experience there, didn't we, with Carey, Burns, Rasciuto, nailing the goals when it mattered.
Absolutely.
Well, there's another game of round 14 action on around Australia tonight. It's at the Telstra Dome in Melbourne. The Kangaroos hosting Collingwood. Replay scheduled on various networks. So if you don't want to know the score, look away now. The Adelaide Crows moved the football better all night. We said it from the word go, and we saw it particularly in the middle quarters of the game from defensive kick-ins. It was a stark contrast. They managed to break the lines, play good free-flowing football. Richmond very static going back the other way.
Yeah, certainly. I think the Crows' foot skills have improved so much over the last couple of years. It was a real problem at the club 2 years ago. Gary Ayres can take the credit for that. He's addressed it. They now move the football as precisely and as accurately as anybody in the comp. And their discipline and structure is so good. As Gary Ayres said, it broke down tonight. They were forced wide. But more often than not, their use of the football is as good as there is in the comp, and that's why they are in the top 4.
Says a lot about the Adelaide Crows. They come out and win games like this. They kick goals when they needed to in that final term. We were sensing during the match that was going to happen at some stage, and you only get a limited number of opportunities to win games of football, don't you? And the momentum flows each way, and when you've got it, you've got to make the most of it. And Richmond, particularly early on, blew their chances. You think back to the likes of Tivendale, you think of Rogers a couple of times. Richardson missed one he could have kicked.
Leon Cameron at half-time, you know, it was vintage Leon Cameron breaking through the middle, inside 50, uncontested kick on his left foot, should have been a goal post high, doesn't quite nail the kick, and they never quite got that extra goal, that momentum to get them up and flying, and that was disappointing because the game was there for them to win tonight.
And they're the kicks that you miss when you've lost 6 on the trot. When your team's flying well, they hit the mark, everything seems to sing along. But make no mistake, the Adelaide defence run to the pump a lot tonight. Richmond did turn the heat up on them, and one man who really stood up to the task was Nathan Bassett, career high 23 possessions, 10 marks.
It was the Bassett-Edwards show in the first quarter. Nathan Bassett, again a mismatch with Rogers.
And again, look where the kick was going. So many times on this occasion, he's outmarking smaller opponents, and the kick was going to his advantage.
Richmond structure, they couldn't get it quite right all night. When Stafford was up forward, he led for the footy instead of standing at the top of the square. They just couldn't get the mix right, and Nathan Bassett, as you said, and Tyson Edwards mopping up around the back half were fantastic, especially in the first half.
There's a flexibility there, isn't there, when you can throw the likes of Graham Johncock forward. We saw he kick 5 last week. He looked dangerous again. Gary Ayres held Ronnie Burns back tonight. He had a bit of a cameo appearance. Jason Tawney didn't spend much time on the ground. And there's still some names to come back into this lineup.
Well, one name we haven't spoken much about tonight is Andrew McLeod, who was electrifying in the first half against Carlton last week. Tonight, didn't really have an influence on the game. Fleming did okay. A lot of stuff happening off the ball. I mean, they were all over him as we expected they would be. So the Crows can win without key players having big influences, and that's a great great sign for them.
It's a sign of a premiership contender, isn't it? Those sort of teams. You look at Brisbane, you look at Port Adelaide, teams that have got multiple options, so you're never quite sure who's going to do the damage on any given night.
Absolutely. The numbers of premiership contenders are probably shrinking a little. You know, you mentioned 3 or 4 of them there. West Coast, you can probably throw into that bracket as well. But you're right, when you've got quality players like that doing quality things at quality times, you know you've got something special. And well, we're in for an exciting last 7 or 8 rounds. The Crows are going to be there when the whips are cracking in September.
Well, they've been the sleepers for much of the year, courtesy, I guess, of so many injuries and not winning all that many games early on. So they've never really been in the top couple of sides in the competition all season. But we take a look at 3 more important games in round 14, and if we're talking about that top 5 or 6 teams, well, West Coast and Sydney tomorrow at the SCG, a tipster's nightmare.
It is a tough one. Sydney have got to win their last. I think they've got 5 home games in the last 8. They have to win them all if they're a chance to sneak into the top 4. They could afford to drop the one last week. West Coast, great win last week. It's a tough road trip, and you'd think Sydney might get the money.
It was a hard slog for the West Coast Eagles last week against the Kangaroos, and one thing that West Coast do enjoy is wide open space, grounds such as Subiaco where they can exploit that. Sydney, very disappointing we saw them here last week. They'll be fired up to do better and can hopefully, from their perspective, reduce the run and flow of the West Coast Eagles.
Absolutely. It's a question of Sydney, are they genuine contenders? Tomorrow we'll probably get an answer to that. Paul Roos will want to turn around, as you said, a disappointing performance back at home. You need them to win if they are genuine this year.
Carlton and Melbourne, an interesting contest at Optus Oval. David Neitz has a pretty good record against the Blues. They find it hard to stop players of his ilk.
Yeah, look, a thrashing last week. Dennis Pagan's team often respond after a thrashing. Interesting to see a player like Lawrence Angren, who is here at the Crows, come off the rookie list and get a chance to play for Carlton. He is a real talent. You know, he's got a streak to him, but he is a real talent. I'd expect Carlton to put up a reasonable performance tomorrow. They'd be a chance to win that one.
The Blues would be viewing that as a winnable game without question.
No question.
Down at Skilled Stadium, big game again. Port Adelaide just can't afford to clip any hurdles on the way. They're travelling along beautifully at the moment, but Down at Geelong, the Cats will be fired up in front of their home crowd.
Sure will, but you talk about genuine contenders. Port Adelaide R1, their captain comes back after 6 or 7 weeks on the sidelines, and an incredible inclusion. They've still got some players up their sleeve. Michael Wilson comes back in as well. They're genuine, and Geelong are in for a tough day.
Well, where do you assess the Adelaide Crows? They're 9-5, as we mentioned, compared to, say, where they were at this time last year. Gary thinks they're maybe a game behind where they should be.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair call, and I don't think the motor's quite got into fourth gear yet. They've had some okay wins. I mean, you expected them to win tonight. Richmond are down on their luck, so you expected the Crows to win and probably win a lot better than they did. They've played a lot of the bottom teams over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Good win against Melbourne, great win against Carlton, but games you expected them to win and win well. They need to be tested, and next week, Friday night footy against Essendon at Amy Stadium is their big crunch test.
Amazing run home. Essendon, Fremantle, St Kilda, Sydney, West Coast, Collingwood, Roos and Port. That's Adelaide's last 8 weeks before they make it to the finals, and then when the real stuff really does start. But in front of 44,809 fans tonight, it was a wonderful crowd. The Adelaide Crows led at every change by 14 at quarter time, by 8 at half time, by 11 at three-quarter time. They then added 4 goals 2 to 1 goal 3 in the final term to run out 28-point winners, 10-12-72, Richmond 6-8-44, Welsh and Burton finishing with 2 goals apiece, 6 singles for the Adelaide Crows, while Richardson finished with 3 for the Tigers in their lowest score of the year. Mark Rasciuto a game high, 29 touches, Laddams a real bonus with 28, Edwards 24, Bassett 23, while for Richmond, Campbell with 26 touches, Coghlan 24, Tivendale with 20 possessions. So a great crowd. It was a good contest, in all fairness. It was up for grabs for most of the evening. In the end, the Tigers, as we suspected throughout the night, didn't take their chances in the end. Paid the penalty.
Well, they did. It's not a game for the archives. It wasn't pretty, especially in the first half. But, you know, sometimes footy goes like that. And in the end, you want your team to be courageous, fight it out to the end. Both teams did that. I guess Richmond just frustrated us because the game was there for them to win. When they're down on their luck, they couldn't grasp their opportunities. Some real frustrations with discipline. And the Crows just go on their way. You know, there's still some question marks there. We'll get some of them answered. If they get Mark Stevens back, Simon Goodwin in a week or two, really adds to their player depth. So they're going to be around the mark, and I mean, we're only 5 or 6 days away from one of the clashes of the round, the Crows and Essendon here at Amy Stadium.
Well, there's been a bus strike here in Adelaide today, so it is pandemonium leaving the ground. As I mentioned, almost 45,000 fans. So we'll be getting home about 3 o'clock.
Well, I've got to be in that traffic in a few minutes.
From the looks of that, the Tigers, well, what have they got next week? They've got Collingwood at the MCG. They've then got the Bulldogs at the Telstra Dome, Fremantle at Subiaco. They'll reload and go again. They gave it a crack tonight. It just didn't quite come off in front of almost 45,000 fans. In the end, Adelaide 10-12-72, defeating Richmond 6-8-44. The Crows go to 9-5. Richmond are 6-8. That's it from Amy Stadium. Have a good evening.
The AFL Premiership Season 2003, brought to you by Carlton, brewed since 1864, and our telecast sponsors Carlton Draft. Draft beer at its best. Ford New Falcon, can't get enough of this. Discount City Carpet Superstores. Truscott Hi-Fi, best advice, low price. Booze Brothers. Sky City Adelaide, the place to see footy on the big screen. RAA Insurance. And Telstra.
This is a 10 News Update.
Hello, Natasha Belling in the 10 newsroom. Making news tonight, 53 Vietnamese asylum seekers settling into the Christmas Island Detention Centre as authorities prepare to process their applications. Bali bombing mastermind Mukhlis says the Sari club wasn't hit when it was crowded with AFL players because the bomb wasn't ready. The spectre of Saddam Hussein returns with a new tape supposedly from the former dictator urging more attacks on US soldiers. Suicide bombers kill 50 Shiite Muslims in another attack on a mosque in Pakistan. DNA puts a man behind bars for life for a 15-year-old murder. Soul singing star of the 70s, Barry White, dies of kidney failure in an LA hospital aged 58. And Australia's best town criers go head-to-head in their national titles on the Gold Coast. And that's the latest from the 10 Newsroom. I'll be back with our next national bulletin at 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Until then, good night.
Think you've got what it takes to open a successful restaurant?
We're 700 grand over budget. We ain't going to finish on time. We can't light a match, possibly forever, because we can't find anywhere to put the flue or the air conditioning. We haven't got gas yet, and I've got 13 inexperienced chefs to run my restaurant. All in all, it's happy days.
No money, no kitchen, no staff, no way. Jamie's Kitchen, coming soon to 10.
Two girls have been brutally murdered, and one man holds the key to the truth.
You're hiding something. Cut it out.
Premiering Sunday.
At first I thought she was asleep.
The clever lawyer.
I have nothing to hide.
And the unrelenting cop.
Do we have your permission to tape this interview?
This is the ultimate mind game.
I touched her.
Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman, and Monica Bellucci in the icy thriller Under Suspicion. Premieres 8:30 Sunday on 10.
Carlton Draft. If you want to know how to say that, that's Carlton. Like it's the secret, like Carlton. Like out of the side of your mouth, like Carlton. And Draft, that's different. That's more of a surprise. Draft. So think of a secret and a surprise, Carlton Draft. And then just stick mate on the end. Carlton Draft, mate. No, I've got one, thanks.
Carlton Draft. Draft beer at its best.
Telstra has a new easy way of getting messages on your home phone, and it's completely free. It's called Telstra Home Messages 101. It takes messages when you're away from the phone, even when you're on the phone or internet. To turn it on, just dial 101. You know, it's great doing television without having to do a gag.
Telstra Home Messages 101. It's free to turn on and free to use. Dial 101 from home to turn it on.
Why has he dropped out of the crowd?
Why isn't she sleeping properly?
Why is she feeling down?
Why is he so out of control?
If you've seen a sign that something's not right with someone you know, listen to their problem and talk about finding help together at ybblue.com.au or at one of the helplines.